Call a quarter. Here's a quarter. Call someone who cares. And we care here on the Streakers On podcast.
You need 2 quarters now.
I think at this point you might need a toonie to it.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
But it is I, Jacob Mort, the self-proclaimed making it hail sports analyst. And I'm joined by, of course, Mr. Lay Dashing Dashko and the one, the only, everyone's favorite salesman, Mr. More Criminal. Woo! And last, but certainly not least, it's a heat wave, but he's still wearing fleece. It's Fuzzy 7.36
with confidence.
Yeah. It's clean, bro. Not this milk is clean now.
Confidence.
Okay, never say he's running on cream ever again. But Jazzy, my bigger question is, how are you not like Frosty when he helps the kid not freeze to death, and how are you not melting?
Right?
You have like you must have a really good AC in your house.
Oh, in the basement? Yes. Yes.
We're not sponsored by HVAC and delivery services, but we could be. You know what else we could do? Actually talk about sports, and that's what we're going to do. CFL Week 9 is coming up, starting today with, Calgary having some question marks, Winnipeg having some question marks, Toronto having some question marks, Edmonton having question marks. There are so many question marks that on my keyboard, the question mark key is pretty much broken.
CFL is the big winner.
We're going to talk about the Blue Jays, and I think they would like to forget about Baltimore because that was just not very good.
What did I say?
They need a day off.
Signings in the NHL, and we'll dabble a little bit in them. And I thought I would bring back Chazzy's favorite segment. We're going to talk Leaf rumors. Because I know he loves talking Leaf rumors. It is like Chazzy will
more rumors.
Chazzy will literally wake up at 6:46 in the morning for some strange reason, and he will just say to me, "Hey, what are the Leaf rumors? I want the tea." Do you know why he likes tea, by the way? Because you can put milk in tea.
Every time I don't see it till I wake up till noon.
But let's jump right into the Toronto Blue Jays. And
you're going to bed at 6:45.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to bed at 6:45.
Okay, boys, I want to ask you right away, and I'm sorry, I'm going to already be putting a little bit of the grumpy grouch.
Uh-oh.
Clanky Jakey.
You remember I said when the Jays were going on these big winning streaks, as long as they don't go on a huge losing streak, they're putting themselves in a good position.
Come on, bro.
They've lost 4 of their last 5. Their defense looks horrific. Their bullpen all of a sudden looks like Swiss cheese. You're seeing multiple errors per game. And people say, well, it's because of the heat wave. Well, Baltimore played in the same heat.
No,
the heat wave. Come on.
I told you, I don't know if you guys are surprised. I told you that you can't sustain this. Okay, you know what? This series looks bad. When you look at the overall record in July, it's insane. I think they only lost 6 games or something like that. Just having these 4 of them. So
I'm like, yeah, but they just lost 4 of them.
I'm just saying, it does look bad right now. But at the end of the day, they've had a good month. At the end of the day, I told you guys at the beginning, I had a feeling with the way it was going. This luck can't contain itself. Eventually, you're going to have a series where things don't fall apart. Things are going to come off the wheels a bit. And this is the series where the things kind of fell off the wheel. They're facing a worse teams, and typically teams that are doing good in the standings do tend to come in a little bit sleepy, I should say, against these kind of more bottom teams when they're facing these kind of lower teams. These teams that have been dominating and playing well against the better teams seem to come in a little bit sleepy. I had a feeling it was going to happen. At least they won today. They get the day off tomorrow, and they're going home where they've been really good as of late at home, where they've won so many games. So there is some positive to look forward to. There's also the trade deadline as of today where, there's going to be some names flying around. I'm sure the Jays, we're going to see a starting pitcher get added, maybe a bench hitter that can come off the bench like once in a while. They still got guys coming back from injury. I don't think this is a bad series. Yeah. They've always played bad against Baltimore. I didn't expect much from this series, but at least they get a day off now to at least they got 1 win. Now they got a day off to kind of be like, okay, let's get the mojo back. Let's get home where the crowd is hot. Sold out crowd, Rogers Center. We've been killing it there against the team we can beat.
Now, I do want to say, though, right off the hop here, I like the recent trade the Jays just made.
Yes.
You're bringing in a relief pitcher
hitter.
that throws
He's a good
high
pitcher.
90s to low 100-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Yes.
And
Great trade.
the little bit of action we saw from him in this series in a
Good.
very weird situation. I mean, they couldn't even put the 8 on right his jersey. They put it on upside down. He played at a really high level, right?
He said it's beautiful.
But my concern is, and I get what you guys are saying, but every year when the Jays go on a run, they do the opposite later. And Dan, let me finish.
Okay.
And if the Jays, let's say you lose your next series, and all of a sudden over your last 10, you only win 3 or 4.
That's going to happen, though.
You guys keep saying it's not going to happen, but it's
No,
what the Jays.
No, it'll happen.
If the Jays don't do it, I'm not going to believe that they won't, because even the game they won against the Orioles, I mean, you look at Ernie Clement playing first base. Dan talks about saying he could score goals of Connor McDavid. I think I could have caught that one going right to the base. It was literally in his glove, and he moved his glove out of the way. Like, we're going to talk about sports betting in a bit. Maybe he bet on the Orioles. I have no idea. But, like, I'm kidding. I'm not saying he did that. But what I mean is, like, this Jays team looked so good for so long. And I agree with you, Lane. I'm not so upset they lost this series. I'm upset they didn't play a single good game. Even the game they won, I will not go as far to say as they played well.
They don't have to play good to win.
They got poor defense, yet they got the win. But at the end of the day, you lost 3 out of 4 to a bad team.
It's going to happen, Jacob.
I understand it's going to happen, Lane. But my concern is now, let's say you go to the Royals next, right? Because you have the Royals coming up. And again, let's say you played this piss poor. Because you have to look at it. The Jays have allowed in the last 4 games, they allowed 11 runs, 16 runs, 3 runs, and 8. Okay, so the game they only let in 3, they could only score 2. But what I'm getting at is that's a lot of runs.
I'm aware.
Well, that's just my concern, because this team was getting good pitching, good base running, good hitting, and good defense. All of a sudden, the base running was absolutely dreadful. Like when you tried to make that little league steal play where you fake stealing the second, then try to steal home. Like, what the hell are you doing? This isn't single A in Vancouver here we're playing. This is the MLB. That doesn't work in the big leagues. Yeah, and it's just my concern that, let's say all of a sudden you play the Royals, the Rockies, and Dodgers, and you know what? 2 out of those 3 series are on the road. If you lose 2 out of those 3 series, the Yankees have been playing a bit better of late, besides of Volpe putting up 2 errors a game. All of a sudden, the Yankees could be right on your tail again, and you might be playing a wild card game against a team that run differential is very comparable to you. That's my concern.
About the Red Sox.
I'm terrified of the Red Sox right now, to be honest. The Red Sox now are what the Jays were last month, right? Oh, yeah. So this is just the concern. Like, I'm sorry, the Jays forfeited a game. That is bad.
I'm hopping in my DeLorean, and I'm traveling 88 miles an hour. I'm plugging in the old beta machine, if anyone knows what that is, and I'm rewinding. And back a few series ago, you were losing your mind, Jamal, because they lost to the Chicago White Sox. Oh, this team is done. The White Sox are so much worse. They couldn't win anyway, blah, 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 blah. And after that lost series, we became the best team in the MLB.
They're not best team anymore.
Yeah, but I'm saying they were there. So so we fired up the beta machine we whined a couple months ago, and you said that about the White Sox, and it's the same position with the Orioles. It was a bad team. It was a double header. It was just bad all around.
Oh, cry me a river. Both teams had to play the double header. That's not an excuse.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree it's bad.
You got to take
we all said Trevor Harris was being a baby when he complained about having the weird game the next day. The Orioles had to play the exact same doubleheader the Jays did. And I'm sure the Jays aren't staying in a sleazy motel like I would when I used to work on the road. No, they're staying at a 5-star hotel, getting ice cream from their butler like Dan used to.
That's right.
No, there's no excuse.
Ice cream in a champagne glass with a metal spoon.
The injuries aren't an excuse either, because at the end of the day, even an injured Jays team should be able to beat an Orioles team that going into this game was like 12, going into the series were 12 or 13 games under 500.
Uh-huh.
I
Again,
agree, but they just
even those games against the White Sox, they weren't playing terrible. They just lost. They didn't play good at all this series.
Well, the one you coughed up in the 8th or the 9th when you had it. So
Yeah, it sucked.
White Sox.
But at the end of the day, they were playing decent baseball.
Yeah.
Right. This series against the Orioles, and maybe I am overreacting, but
I think so personally.
The main difference is until people will ask me, Jacob Moore, self-proclaimed sports analyst. That's exactly what they call me. They'll be like, why are you panicked about a 64-46 team in the Blue Jays and not a 2-5 team in the Toronto Argos? And the main difference is the last time the Jays won a championship, I was not on planet Earth.
I was.
The last time the Argos won a championship was less than 12 months ago. That's the difference. So I have belief in a championship culture. I don't have belief in a team that can never get it done when it counts. And right now, okay, yes, they played really well against Detroit, but now the bigger question in that series after the Orioles, were the Jays playing really well or are the Tigers just playing really bad?
Well, I think it's a little bit of
that
both.
argument.
Yeah, a little bit both, yeah.
So I don't
Tigers
know.
are really bad. I don't know
think
what
this
happened
next
there.
series-
Actually, they're winning again now.
This
Oh,
next
it's
series, in my opinion, is absolutely critical. I get it's August, but August, I think, is when the maybe you guys can correct me if I am
No,
wrong.
August.
Half the deadline, yep.
August matters, right?
It does.
Number one, I was born in August, so
Yeah.
obviously
Me too.
it's a critical month.
This is when baseball happens.
This is
I
when
just-
baseball sorry, go ahead, Lane.
I just think it's like I do agree with what you're saying. I just think it's nice to have a day off to kind of like chill.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you, like I said again, I've acknowledged, I said this before. Like what happened in July was a fever pitch, right? At the end of the day, some of what Michael Kay said, even though he said what he said and it created a fight between him and Jamie Campbell, some of what he said is true, right? At the end of the day, this team caught fire when you look at some of their statistics, you look at some of their position players, you look at the roster they even brought into this season. This team really shouldn't be where they are. Like, let's call a spade a spade. This team should be ideally with the roster when it came in to spring training on the first day of regular season baseball. The way it looked was an under 500 team.
I wouldn't say under 500.
I think they were under 500 last year and they barely made any changes.
Yeah, but I felt last year they underperformed. I expected a 500 baseball
And
club.
these young players have so much more experience in them
Lane,
now.
I do get
Let me
where
just say, I'm
you're,
just saying.
where you're coming from.
You know
Look
what I mean?
at
Like,
Badger, for example.
You expected mediocre 50%, if so,
Yeah.
right? And you know what's
Yeah.
happened? This team caught in June, even before June, this team was an under 500 team that was struggling to get wins. That everything was. You said one night we would get pitching, one night we would get hitting. Now they went on an odd streak, right? June and July have been fever pitch. It's been excitement. The fans are paying over $80 to go to games again. People are selling their tickets on StubHub for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I think the cheapest ticket against the Yankees I heard on the radio was $750 to sit in the last row. Like, people are paying a premium price, and now the Jays' excitement is back. And that's a good thing because the fans are now showing up. The excitement, whether you want to call them bandwagoners, whether you're going to call them whatever you want to say, they're back in action. They're coming back out, and they're supporting this team. And that's a good thing ultimately, even though maybe some people thought we wouldn't be in this position. Well, we are now. And, again, June and July were this kind of fever pitch, like everything's going well. Every day we're getting pitching. Every day we're getting hitting. But we all know that's not going to last. And, there's going to be series like this Baltimore Orioles or like the White Sox or like the Athletics even series, where it's gonna look like your team's not playing good. You might have 5 or 6 bad games, but I think the Jays right now, as long as they play like, go 2 and 3, or they're gonna lose a series here and there. But as long as they don't go like getting swept like against the Royals or swept against the whoever the Dodgers, as long as they take like even 2 or 3, even sometimes 1 of 3, but then you take 2 of 3 here, like as long as you play 50% baseball or maybe like 60% baseball down the road, this team's still going to make the playoffs because they've positioned themselves well enough now that they've got the tiebreaker with the Yankees. They're going to be no matter where the Yankees face, even if they tie, they're still going to have the season theory. They'll get first place. They've done well against other teams in their division where they'll have the first place. So the Jays have put themselves in a good stretch. to be in the playoffs. And not only that, I'm assuming we're still going to see some ads here today. I think we're going to see some significant names added to bolster this team.
Interesting. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the Jays have a history of doing bad against the KC Royals?
Well, I mean, there was that playoff series that for whoever stick in my mind that kid, that one kid who grabbed the ball, we didn't have a replay, so we lost going to the World Series because of that. But I mean, I'm not sure about this year, but I do know they do struggle. But I think the Jays can beat the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have not been the same team this year. They are not.
No,
they're okay, but they're not fantastic. And
yeah, exactly.
I think the Jays, they got their butts kicked in Baltimore. I kind of expected that. I kind of expected a bit of a wake-up call. The pitching was bad. They've added a reliever. They look good today, at least. At least the bullpen looked like they had their act together today.
I gotta say too, I give them a lot of credit for what they did with Green. I thought that was the right call to do, because that game, if they put him in, the game was done. You were not going to win that first game in the back-to-back, a second game in series. You were never going to win that game. And Green has played bad in his last 3 appearances for the Jays. So that second game in the series against Baltimore, that was a one last shot. Okay, Green, this game is done. Can you come in here and regain your confidence to kind of save your career kind of thing? And he fell apart again. In his 4 last appearances with the Jays, his ERA was over 27. Just think about that for a second, okay? You cannot keep a major league job for ERA like that. You just can't do it. And I feel, not that I know him or anything.
He could have been the cowboy.
But I feel bad for him, because I saw him pitch a game earlier this season, and he played really well. He's been with the Jays for 3 years. He's done well with the Jays. Before that, he was with the Yankees. So you're not a nobody playing for the Yankees. So I don't know what happened to him in the past 4 games, but for whatever reason, it wasn't working. So I've never seen this in my life in any sport. They cut him and bought out his contract, basically, in between games in the back-to-back doubleheader. And in the exact same in-between games, they made a trade for the pitcher they're playing against. Okay, dude, take off your orange shirt and put on this blue shirt. That's literally what happened. Go from the home dressing room to the away dressing room. Like, I gotta say, I got to give the Jays a lot of credit for what they did. I thought it was very creative. We probably wouldn't see it again. We probably won't see it again in any other sports. I thought it was, imagine you're playing a hockey game. Okay, let's put this as an example. Imagine you're playing Battle of Alberta, because Baltimore is a little bit of a rivalry with the Jays. So imagine you're doing the Battle of Alberta, you're all dressing up in the Edmonton dressing room in oil country, about to put on your jersey. Oh, you've been traded to the Calgary Flames. Go down the hall. That's literally what happened here. That would never happen in hockey or football or anything else. So give Jays a lot of credit. That was a pretty cool move.
Oh, sure, but I don't know.
Yeah, Jay, put a lot of effort into it. Like, oh, sure.
Look, time will tell. They always fall apart in August. I'm sorry, but they do. If you go back and look last year in August, they were god-awful.
Yeah,
the year before in August, god-awful. So until they do it in August, I'm not going to believe this. And I'm calling it here. If they don't win the division at this point, I will be disappointed.
Yeah,
I could see that.
I will be, because especially, let's say you don't win the division. You got to play the Red Sox in the first round of the playoffs.
That would be tough for the Green Monster.
And then you lose.
Yeah.
Major changes have to happen, because you can't just keep expecting. We had 2 All-Stars on this team. Arguably could have had 3, because George Springer not being in the All-Star team was a crying shame. And
I was just going to say, George Springer.
Hold on. But at the end, like if you having potentially 3 All-Stars, you went out and added to the bullpen. You signed Vladdy to a $500 million contract. And if you don't do something with it, something will have to change. I can't. we keep saying with the Toronto Maple Leafs, they have all this talent, but then they don't do anything. And everyone seems to think when the Jays do the same thing, it's fine.
Well, I do have a question. I know it's in this series against Baltimore. I don't know why, so someone fill me in. I know it's this series against Baltimore. George Springer was not playing very much.
He got hit in the head.
Oh, so I think that could have to do with them losing.
No. One player cannot be the reason why your entire infield forgets how to infield. Who's an outfielder? No.
That's true.
Anyways, I want to move on, but I do, like I said, I do feel this next series against the Royals is critical. You gotta fix the ship.
You know what, Jacob? Before you moved on, you led into a perfect thing. One of our new segments here. The Toronto Blue Jays this year, are they gas or are they ass? You got to admit, Jacob, this was perfect lead on to it.
Yeah.
So we're at the trade deadline now. So we're basically 3/4 of the way done. Like Jacob said, August is the big month to prove this is a playoff team, division team, all fall apart like ass. So what is it?
At the moment they're gas. Well, at this moment they're gas.
I'm with Lane. I'm going to go with gas. What do you say, Jacob?
I want Craig to answer first.
Oh, okay, Craig. What are you thinking? Gas?
So we're saying, are they gas right now? They're going to make a run?
Between the whole season as a whole this year, like from the beginning of spring training camp in Florida, of Vladdy not having a contract, to right now, July 31st, trade deadline, 12:06 a.m. Eastern. Is this team gas or ass?
Gas.
I agree.
Gas.
I'm going to say 85 octane gas.
I
still want to see more.
Good
answer. Enough to
answer.
run the 2006 Uplander that Mama takes us to soccer practice in.
No,
We played soccer?
With some of the swagger that these bats have, just noticing in the Orioles series with Snyder, Barger, and Luke's, just when they come, I don't know if
Luke, yeah.
their style, but when they're getting to that batter's box, like when Luke's hit that home run, he was like, he got a ball where he wanted it, and he took it yard for what 3-run shot. But no, those guys coming to the plate, I don't know what they've done, but they look a lot more confident at the plate.
Well, this is why I predicted this year the Jays were going to win 98 games, even though they didn't do anything in the offseason. Because you look at guys like Barger and Lucas. These are young guys in the Jays program. I don't know the word I want. I say program for now. Young guys in the farm system, I guess let's just say, we've had for a while. And eventually young players have to get better. And this is the year we see it. I think Snyder's still a year behind, but Chazi's way. I think he's starting to gain a little bit of mojo back. So it's like they were high draft picks. They were good prospects, and now we're finally starting to pay off. So you add that in with Vladdy and Bull and Springer, and you have good pitchers like Goldsman and Warriors and all that, and Hoffman as a closer. You got a decent team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Jays currently are on pace to win 91 games right now.
That makes sense.
I know. Not 98.
Not saying it's impossible.
Yeah, it pretty much is. But that's okay. I'm still trying.
Basically, it would be phenomenal if they could get between 94 to 96 on pace for low to mid 90s.
I could see 90. 90 seems good.
If you remember,
crazy
ago,
at 98
I called for high 80s, low 90s for this team.
You did.
Is where I set the bar going into this season.
Yeah.
When Dan said 98, I'm like, no. But I do want to move on, still sticking with baseball a little bit. And I don't know why sports betting just seems to be a topic every week now. But it is, again, it's back in with the MLB. And Chazzy reminded me off camera that the MLB made this whole big stink as we're taking this out of the game. And our poop don't stink. And turns out that comment was ass and not gas. But Lane, can you kind of go into more about what's going on here?
Yeah, so the Guardians, I guess they should, if they really want to stick with the G, they should just call themselves gamblers at this point. This is the second pitcher. I think what the MLB has done almost like a secret investigation in on these teams. They're going in on certain days, kind of unnoticed, hiding in the bushes. What are they doing over there? So they were kind of the Guardians got subjected to some random testing for this gambling, so they wanted to keep it out of the game. And in their investigation, 2 pitchers have been kind of flagged down by the MLB and by the Gambling Commission to be considered to be probably betting on their own games. The first pitcher was Mr. Luis Ortiz, who a right-hander from the Dominican was flagged down there late in the season on 2 pitches on June 15th and June 27th against the St. Louis Cardinals and the Seattle Mariners. The one pitch, you can watch the clips. There's one pitch where he throws it literally like way so far away from the catcher, it was impossible to catch. And that was a pitch it was like something about throw a wild pitch in the 6th inning, which of course it was in the 6th inning. And then there was one against the second one that was flagged was a 3-2 count against the St. Louis Cardinals, and he had to get a full pitch walk in an inning, and he accidentally struck the guy out, and you could literally see him scream as loud. You could hear it on the TV. He screamed the F word probably louder than anyone ever had, even though he did something good for his team. He was like, I can't believe I did that. So, of course, that bet didn't go through. He lost the bet there, and then that got flagged down. And now Emmanuel Clase, who's been one of their best closers, a closer who's been an all-star, been a sort of a guy who's known to throw good pitches and be a top-tier closer, is also now being flagged down. They're not sure if he will get suspended or not. But at the moment, they're kind of watching him right now. But they also think there won't be any more players at this time being affected by this club, but those are the 2 players that have been flagged by the Gambling Commission.
So what I'm curious about is this has got to hurt the Guardians coming in the trade deadline.
Oh, 100%.
Because these were 2 players that, to my understanding, they were looking to move, and players that were worth something. And now they can't move them.
Also, both players are on leave and not permitted to use team facilities.
But they are being paid. They're paid to stay home and eat nachos.
Oh, are they both suspended right now?
Yes.
With pay.
So
I want to keep that. Let me be clear.
I gotta say something. I'm just thinking about Business Lane was talking. Very great, don't know what the word is, reporting.
Explanation.
Great explanation, Lane. I almost called you Craig. Lane. Great explanation. But as I'm thinking here, because we've talked about this on the island before with Son Lemon, and Chazzy really changed my perspective on it. And now I'm just listening to Lane about the baseball's version. Is it really sad to say we're at the point now in 2025, every time a player makes a mistake or a move is kind of questionable, is it in the back of our mind if we're betting against our team or betting for our team? Are we really at that state? And if it is, that's pretty sad.
Yeah, and I want to further on that. I do think I want to further on what Dan just said there. And I don't know if you guys agree with me. Excuse me. I don't know if you guys agree with me here, but I could see it where, sports gambling, if this continues, it's going to be a thing of like, you can't do it anymore. They're just going to get rid of it because it's going to eventually take one bad app. No, if this keeps happening.
Too much money. Honestly, I wish it could.
Yeah, but Jacob, if
too much coin.
If enough athletes are starting to get caught and it's coming out left, right, and center, the Chiefs, Mahomes is cheating. Then it's Austin Matthews is cheating. Now it's Jose Barrios cheating. Now it's Springer cheating. If enough players are going to get caught with this, they're going to eventually have to do something where they're going to have to either stop it for a few months because eventually it's going to be, you know what I mean? It's going to look bad on these leagues.
This comes back to my point with Sean Lemon, and it comes down to the league. This is why you cannot sort of have a gray area. You bet on your team, you bet on your sport, you're gone. Now we're talking about Major League Baseball. We just had this 2 weeks ago about CFL, and then now that's in the back of our minds, and gambling's in our face. It's the tobacco of the racing in the early 80s. It's fueling a lot. It's not going away. It's actually going to get more intense. And and like I said, if you don't fix it now and you don't like a hard line, like I said, Pete Rose was, mind you, denied it for a long time, but he's not even in the Hall of Fame, right? So, and he's arguably one of the best ball players. So if they do find legitimate, concrete evidence that these guys, Lane, I'm glad you brought this one up because I didn't hear about these guys, but down to your pitches, like that's actually insane when you're a major leaguer that you cannot. There's no gray area, like, or like you said, Lane, it's gonna get wild. Like it's just gonna run wild.
Like because eventually, you know what I mean? Eventually, like, yeah, I know what Jacob's saying.
Say, okay,
yeah, I'm used to money, but
years. I'm 20.
Yeah,
I'll come back when I'm 26.
Okay, but guys, that's like saying they're going to put chips in cars to make it so they can't speed. They won't. They're making so much money off people going 200 down the 401. So at the end of the day,
if you don't want your players to do it, you have to have a hard line.
And also, too, it's not like these guys are walking into your local casino and placing a bet. No, they're going to all these backroom gambling areas. So it's kind of like prohibition, right? Remember well, I'm sure none of us remember. Even Dan isn't this old. I'm kidding. But, like, actually, Shazzy's the oldest one here. But
I don't put that on me.
When they tried prohibition, it didn't stop people from drinking. They legalized marijuana because at the end of the day, they realized we can't police it, so we may as well tax it and make money on it. That's the exact same thing of gambling. My difference is I would like to see not just a suspension, but a quarter of your salary as a fine that you now owe. So let's say, I'm just going to keep this easy here. Let's say a player who makes $10 million gets it. Now they are owed $2.5 million back into the league, and that's going towards a Gambling Anonymous foundation or a charity. That is a way to act. That's one thing, too. If you're all of a sudden taking money away, it might not seem worth it now placing a $1,000 bet, and you potentially could lose a quarter of your salary.
Well,
and maybe not even do it the quarter of the yearly salary. Let's say you signed a $100 million contract. You've lost a quarter of that now, and you're suspended.
Yeah, that's a lot of
You're
money.
gone. And tell you one thing, it's kind of like one of those things when you keep stealing the cookie from your mama's pantry, and all of a sudden she just doesn't say don't do it again. She makes sure you don't have a cookie for a week. All of a sudden, you don't want to steal those cookies anymore. Right now, it's just a slap on the wrist. Don't do it again. Start putting a real fine. None of this $5,000 fine BS. That's like me saying, Chazzy, because you wore your hat backwards, which is strictly against the Streakers on podcast code of conduct, I am fining you a nickel. What are you going to do the next time you want to wear it backwards? You're still going to wear it backwards. But if I said to you, Chazzy, I'm fining you $10,000 every time you do that, your hat's on a different way.
Well, I hate
that's how you fix it.
I hate to say this too, but Chazzy really changed my mind because I thought it was okay bringing Sean Lemon back. But now after listening to Chazzy talk about and us talk about on the island, now, for example, if the MLB tries to suspend these players, or not say suspend, try to expel these players from the league, their lawyers, well, I don't know if lawyers is the right term, but their agents will use the CFL as an example and say, hey, this player saw him in CFL did the exact same thing, and he was allowed back.
Okay, so I do want to clarify something, though, here. Sean Lemon did not do the same thing as these players. Sean Lemon placed bets. There is no proof of Sean Lemon purposely trying to lose a game. That's
winning.
That's a big difference. And by the way, am I defending Sean Lemon? No. Do I think he should have been allowed back into the league? Honestly, no. But there is a big difference between purposely trying to lose and playing your hardest to win and trying to make an extra $100. Not saying it's right, but there's a difference. It's kind of like if you're speeding, one person speeding to show their friend that their BMW's faster because their daddy gave it to them for Valentine's Day. Very weird if your dad's giving you a BMW for Valentine's Day. And the other one's doing the same speed limit, rushing their dog to the vet. Like, both of them broke the law. But one is like, well, okay, you still shouldn't have done it, but we get why you did it. The other one, you're just being an idiot.
Like,
right?
imagine watching
where I'm kind of looking at these and I think what they're doing in baseball right now, Lane, the way you explained it, I think what these players are doing is worse than what Sean Lemon did. If you're purposely trying to walk a player and hurting your team from trying to win, just so you can collect on a bet, that's a bigger issue. So again, just find them a crap ton of money and get this done.
And the worst part is, like I said, it was if you go back and after tonight, if you go watch those clips, it's mind-boggling to watch. Like he literally, I've never seen someone get so mad for striking somebody else. Like it's beyond comical how animated he got. And then that one pitch where it was like a wild pitch, it wasn't even like a pitch that like you could even think was like, okay, well maybe that could happen. It literally looked like he was just like, oops, that's not. Like he literally yeeted the thing into the crowd almost. Like it was like crazy. And like imagine watching the Super Bowl on the last play of the drive where the Chiefs can go in the end zone and Patrick Mahomes just takes a kneel and goes, "Oh, I slipped." It's like, yeah, come on, come on, man. Like that. I'm telling you, if there's ever a global scale or if it keeps happening, they're gonna have to do something.
Yeah,
I get what
I agree with Jacob taking big fines.
Stopping it because it's making too much money in sports.
But there's going to be one thing,
gambling,
Jacob. There's going to be one thing. Like there's going to be a Super Bowl. It's going to happen on a Stanley Cup.
And then they're going to do what I said and be like, Patty Mahomes, you did this. Your entire salary's gone. You owe it back. And someone will be setting that example. I don't think just suspending them for life is enough. I really think it's got to be monetary. I don't know. Maybe I'm being over the top with that, but I think if you start monetarily suspending them,
I agree,
and taking away their hard-earned money, that'll make a difference.
I agree.
And then the money can go into charity, and to be honest, that makes it a win-win.
Yeah, for sure.
You're cutting down on athletes doing it in sports, and you're putting money towards like a charity. Like the reason why I say Gambling Anonymous is because these players are clearly addicted to gambling.
Yep.
So maybe we need to start tailoring suspensions that way. Like players get suspended for doing a DUI, for example, then maybe they should be like, hey, part of your salary now has to go to a drinking and driving charity, because that way again, it's kind of I feel these $1 million athletes should be held to a higher standard than, I don't know, Steve, who works at the Giant Tiger. And we love you, Steve, by the way. But it's people talk about certain people need to be held at a higher standard. And at the end of the day, these athletes aren't just paid to play a game. They're being paid to be a kid's hero and to do all these other things. Yep. And now these kids are looking up to these athletes, kind of like the argument we were having the other day about Von Miller. And I'm like, I don't think some of these athletes who are causing all this trouble, we just don't want in these leagues. It's not a good look for the leagues. It's not a good look for the other players. And also, too, if let's say a guy does make a huge bet and he just gets kind of a slap on the wrist saying, oh, you're suspended for 6 months. Well, more players are just going to do it. So take away hard-earned cash. That's how you stop it, because you can't. Sports betting is too big to stop, between the money the teams are making, the money that, never mind that, the money that, especially in Canada, it's all ran through the OLG. The government's making a crap ton of money off it. And, not to get political, but no one wants their taxes to go up. So the money's got to come from somewhere. And you can laugh all you want more for. If you cut sports betting out, taxes will go up in Canada and Ontario, because it's all ran through the gambling commission of the province. So we can all say fine and dandy, sure, let's just do it, but it's not going to happen. So instead, find the pants off them.
Well, it's kind of like, as you talk, I really like your idea, Jacob, and as you talk about it, it kind of reminds me of a law in Finland. So in Finland, they're very strict about speeding, out of all things. So in Canada here, if you go over 50 over the limit on the highway, you can get fined up to $10,000 for example. In Finland, how their speeding records work, and I'll say in Canada it's like 150, but let's say you get caught going 140, it's like a $488 ticket. So the fines are based on how much over the limit you're going. In Finland, it's completely different. A speed ticket is based on your income. So, what? Yeah. So if Steve from Giant Tiger, don't forget about Giant Tiger in Finland, let's pretend that they did. If Steve was speeding, getting to work Giant Tiger, and he's making $18 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever it is, his speeding ticket for going 20 over would be based on his tally a giant tiger. Versus if you have sorry for you under the bus, bud, but Leo Komarov, great player in Maple Leafs, was also a car guy, and he got caught with a speeding ticket in Finland. He's not. He did make the All-Star team that year for the Leafs, but he's not technically a superstar in the NHL, but he's a decent player. His speeding ticket was over $20,000 for going 50 over the speed limit because it was based on his $3 million, $4 million US salary. So it really makes people think twice. It really makes people think twice about speeding, right? And I can see kind of Jacob's point when he's talking about making it monetized, right? So maybe instead of saying, "Oh, it's $5,000," prime example was Alexander Ovechkin and Brad Marchand. Alex Ovechkin said it was well worth sparing Brad Marchand in the nuts for $5,000. If you do it only cost him $5,000, you would do it again. Because what's $5,000 to Ovechkin? Well, he probably spends that in pizza on the weekend. So, it's like if we did it based on a percentage of a player's salary instead of $5,000, yeah, I don't think you're going to get a player association sign on to that. But if you can make it work,
because they might just say, look, if we don't do it, there's going to be major consequences towards your livelihood. Like a lot of people in sports would actually want something like that because it hurts the integrity of the game. You're going for the Stanley Cup and your teammate bet for you to lose, and on a wide open net, he purposely misses it.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to wish that fine was in place where he would have thought twice. Right. That's what I'm getting at.
But I think Lane has a point. I think we're going to see that someday.
But I do want to move on because I feel we could talk about. This is a topic. This could literally be a Streakers Island podcast, Place Your Bets edition, where it's just a 2-hour conversation on this.
But do you want to save this whole conversation? Download the Streakers app so you're not betting money.
Even better. But
play and earn. Get your points.
I do want to talk about the MLB trade deadline, which I believe is at 6 p.m. Ooh. Right, Lane?
We got what, 18 hours? Well, technically 17 hours and 34 minutes.
But we're kind of looking at here, there are still some good players available, right? Like you have some starting pitchers, a couple good hitters still on the market, and relief players. I do like to keep this Canadian because we are Canadian-powered content. Out of those three areas, where do we see the Blue Jays looking to upgrade? Starting, hitting, or relievers?
I would like one of each if you can.
I don't think you can do... Okay, but why?
Well,
sure.
Still salary cap.
Sure, you can. Because you get unless what you do unless you go my route, which is what I know you didn't like that suggestion, but you pick up a starting pitcher and then you use a Bassett and a Manoah in the bullpen. It's not a bad idea if you go up there. Like I know here's a name that people were talking about here. Look at the starting pitchers. All three pitchers I could see would being huge additions here. Mackenzie Gore from the National Series. Been a huge pitcher on that team. The Nationals are a team that has not been playing well. You get a lot of control from him. He's young in his career, There's a guy that I would be a huge addition for the Blue Jays. You get Mackenzie Gore, then you take out a Chris Bassett, or you take out a Scherzer, who still are relievable arms. They just can't pitch 6-7 innings anymore just because of age and stuff and concerning with their age and their arms. But you put those guys in the bullpen. You throw up Manoah, all of a sudden you got three relievers that you can float in and out to help the bullpen. Even a guy like Zach Gallen on the Diamondbacks, there's another guy, strikeout machine pitcher. He's a really good pitcher. He'd be another good guy. And I also even like Sandy Alcantara. He's another good pitcher. He's been struggling a little bit, but you got 2 years more of control with him with a team option there. So any of those three guys, and then like I said, you kill two birds with one stone if you get a starter. Move maybe one or two guys from the starter into the bullpen, bring up Manoah. You get a few innings here or there from that guy. And then maybe you pick up a little bench hitter and you're not giving up too many assets. You can kill three birds with almost two stones.
The key to that is small birds, big rock. But when you talk about Sandy, though, what about him just recently coming off the Tommy John surgery? Does that not concern you at all?
Yeah, it does. I would probably like Mackenzie Gore more than or Zach Gallen more because I feel like
I like Zach Gallen, actually. I know he hasn't had a great year this year, but that means you might be able to get him for more affordable.
For sure.
Now, it looks like he's more going to like the Dodgers, Mets, Astros, Rangers, or Red Sox, but I don't know why, though, you guys want to. So, like, I mean, I get it because he's older, but do you just go get a relief guy like a Ryan Hazley, and then you leave Scherzer in your starting rotation?
I like Scherzer. Chazzy called it at the beginning of the year. He says Scherzer was going to be a big addition, the off piece, and boy, he was right. He's made a huge addition to his team, and I have a unpopular opinion, I think, but I say crazy things here on the island, so I'm just going to say it. As I'm reading the script here, yes, I do read the script ahead of time, most times anyway. I saw we were going to talk about what the Blue Jays need and trade deadline. I really got thinking. I really like Lane's answer with the pitching. I think it's a great idea. However, the one thing I would add, if I'm a Blue Jay GM, you look at this team, and his team is very good by committee with getting people on base, which is fantastic. You look at Ernie Komet, for example. You look at Lucas, for example. Badger has stepped up to become one of the big hitters for the team. George Springer is back to his old form again. Bossett's starting heat up now that he wants a big contract. Vladdy $500 million contract. He's really focused on more getting on base versus just slamming the home runs. But here's my unpopular opinion. I think it's great that the Jays have 4 guys with over 10 home runs on the team. But the one piece I see missing is that big slamming home run guy. And what I think is great, you have Vladdy and Bassett and Badger and Springer, and they're all very good. But when you are fighting for the division league into September, October, into the playoffs in October, and you got the bases loaded, the Jays have been struggling this year, like many other years, of leaving people on base. They need a big home run designator hitter type of player, like a David Ortiz back in the day. Because you look at the leading home runs in the league, for example, no Jay is even close on the list, okay? The thing is, George Springer leads the team with 18 home runs. So you don't have anyone on your team with over 20 home runs. You don't have anyone on your team with over 30 home runs. Aaron Judge last year hit 63, 69, whatever it was. I'm not saying to sell the farm and get Aaron Judge, but I'm saying get someone out there who has more than 20 home runs this season. So that way, when you need a grand, I know Joe Springer did the grand slam on Canada Day, but when you need a big moment, you can put a designator hitting guy you got confidence in to go get it done.
Dan, I'm going to say one thing, though. There's only so many trades you can make between now and 6 o'clock.
Why?
Just because there's only so many cell phones you can hold to your ear. Like that Kyle Dubas picture where it's like...
Yeah! Yeah, I was like a doofus.
So I just think you have to look at what you can get, and I think the Jays bullpen is a weaker spot than their bats. Because I think they have pretty good depth with hitting.
What do you think,
maybe
I would really, and remember too, you're still getting a guy like Varsho back who's a good power hitter. And I more look at it, I think you gotta look at the pitching because I feel at the end of the day, I feel playoff games are won and lost by pitching.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you do this. Here's 2 names that you kill again. Going back to the kill 2 birds in one stone here. If you go after Zach Gallen, maybe you try to throw in a Eugenio Suarez. I know he's been rumored to be traded. He's got 36 home runs. There's other guys on Arizona like Corbin Carroll. I don't think he'd be traded, but you look down the list, there are a few guys on this Arizona team that can hit some bombs. And
36 home runs, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you get a Eugenio Suarez and you throw in a Zach Gallen. You throw in some big prospects going the other way. Maybe
trade your first round pick.
Maybe you have to lose Dalton Varsho to get it. Maybe it's worth it.
Whoa, that's a big loss.
I don't know, but I'm just saying, but if you get a starting pitcher and a hitter that can hit, that's almost hit 40 home runs this year, you bring in that big bag, you bring in a big starting pitcher, then you've got your bullpen because then you can take 1 or 2 guys out of the starting rotation throw them in the bullpen. There's all your bases covered.
Right.
True, but like and when Lane, you bring up trading Varsho, Craig, you talked about that. Maybe do you move one of your studs that have been hurt to go get something you need?
Yeah, no, I feel I'm gonna counter what Morpho was saying about the bats. I think you got some heavy bats here. So we're talking about borderline of the best team in the league, but I think the key to the success for the Jays this year is playing small ball. They're winning with clutch hits in the right time.
100%.
Let's say go today. 2 out. What was it? Bottom or top of 7 or top of 8. And he gets a 2-run single right up the middle. When you're down by a run, going in, you could be going, I think it was in the 8th. Could be going into the 9th, down a run, and then now you're swept by the O's. Thank goodness they did. But I think it's because we're all focused on the home run. Look at Josh Donaldson and the way his batting, how he sort of ended his career because of the long ball. So we all want the long ball. But if you look at the Jays, like you said, no guys jumping off the leaderboard with all these home runs. Mind you, they're the best team in the league because they're getting those clutch hits.
That's a great point.
And if you want a guy like that, then there's no other guy that I would want more than Stephen Kwan. Stephen Kwan is the best quintessential small ball hitter in the league, bar none. There's no question about it. He'd be, if you want to get that kind of player, that's who I'm going after. Or there was a guy in the Padres. I don't think they would ever trade him, but if you Luis Ariz is another guy that if you could try to snag him out of there, whoo.
But they do need the bullpen. The bullpen is concerning, and you're not going to go deep. You're not going to go deep in the playoffs against the teams that are up there right now with this bullpen. I don't think.
True. So you need like a Price.
And you got to make sure you're making another 60 games without any injuries to your starters. So
maybe then it's nice bringing in a relief pitcher too that maybe in a pinch could start a game pitching for.
I think you just got to look at pitching. I think the Jays look at pitching.
I agree with you.
You got
they already brought in. They already brought in one guy.
Fit into your lineup. Like we're just
already brought in one good guy. Let's just add. I'd like to see at least one more pitcher before 6:00.
Yeah, you got. They got
to
pitching.
I do think this team's going to make a trade. I do 100%.
But I do want to move on to something that's not on the script. But I just saw breaking news from the CFL Super Late News over on X. Give them a follow. Tell them this analyst says, "What up, diggity dog?" And we are hearing a unique CFL plus TSN plus Amazon Prime partnership.
Whoa!
That could come into effect for 2026.
Here we go.
Not 27, 26, and could be announced as early as the fall.
So what's that mean on the media side there, analyst?
So what I'm guessing what that will mean is, you know how right now on Monday night is Amazon Prime and that you can only get on Amazon Prime?
Yep.
I think the CFL is going to be looking to do something similar because they want to get more games into the States. They're already getting over $1 million from CBS. Because whether people want to admit it or not, the Canadian Football League brings in very good TV ratings. People like to go on, it's the Canadian Joke League, blah, blah, blah. Well, fine. There's over 500,000 people watching on average every night. So say what you want to say, that is worth a lot of money. So now I wonder, will this be one just for the States to bring in the games that CBS isn't airing? Because CFL Plus, I'm sorry, is terrible. That's the thing that, Dan, if you remember, we watched the preseason games on.
Oh my gosh, it was unwatchable.
It's just god awful. So if you get Amazon
like a bad movie.
But if you get Amazon Prime that that can handle it, even if you just make that, because I could see that being a USA thing strictly. I actually could.
No, it's going to be one of those things where it's good. I think it'll be like what you guys complain about in hockey, which is like it's one game a week where it's like tonight is CFL Amazon Prime night. You can only watch the game on Amazon Prime. You can't watch it on TSN because they're going to make a deal. They're going to want that Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime's going to want the membership, so they're going to be like, if you don't have Amazon Prime, well then tough biscuits, and it's going to be
bananas. Yeah.
And they'll probably give it, one team. I'm assuming, how many ever weeks, at least one team gets one every game. Maybe you throw in the Argos or whoever the more popular teams in the league might get an extra one or two. Like the Blue Bombers or the Rough Riders because those are the more popular American teams. So you would probably give them a few extra games, but it'd be a good way, like you said, to get the league down to the States and more of a broader, like the thing I like about, we'll go back to this, and this is something we're going to talk about soon here, is about the wrestling. And the wrestling to me was something, even for me, like here in Canada, we only had access to Sportsnet 360. We didn't have access to the pay-per-views, and we didn't have access to other shows. We only got what we got. But now that it's on Netflix, right, I can sit there, I can talk to my friend in Brazil and be like, hey, are you enjoying the wrestling tonight? It's just on a global scale because it's available in every household. You don't have to worry about owning a cable box. You don't have to worry about having a TV subscription to get it. You can just throw on your Amazon Fire Stick. You can throw on your PlayStation. You can throw on your laptop. You can pull out your iPad. You can watch it on so many different iPads, so many different ways of consuming the game. There's no way you don't do it. And I think more leagues, I know we'll talk about this in hockey because there's a report that the NHL is pushing for Amazon Prime Night. Now the NFL is trying to get on Netflix. It's just a smart way to go about it. Like, you got to go on these big apps where the people are, because at the end of the day, you're going to get more viewership. You just will.
Well,
so this is going to cancel out
cable.
cable.
You get more, you get new. Because there are a lot of people who don't use these streaming apps. And that's where I think you have to be careful with it. By the way, when I'm saying this, I think if the CFL does pull this off, I think this is a great move for the Canadian Football League, just because you're bringing in revenue into the CFL that wasn't there right now. The Canadian Football League desperately needs more revenue, and this can create more revenue. And I would just, as a fan, I think fans will be frustrated, but at the end of the day, I think they'll still pay for it.
That's my next question.
And I think that it's good for the league because the Canadian Football League is a business, and it's a business that unfortunately half the league isn't making any money. So this is a way to bring in more revenue to the league. Let's say Amazon Prime wants to throw the CFL $1 million, and you can laugh at me if you'd like, but that's what CBS is paying for a game. That's what they're paying for a game a week. So,
sure.
So that maybe, you know what, you need to charge the same for Amazon Prime to take it.
Yeah.
And like the CFL, again, whether you like it or not, has a cult following in the States. And I would say this too. I think America is thriving for good football when the NFL's not on yet. Especially because the XFL, UFL is not delivering. Which is a shame, because don't get me wrong, there are some very good athletes in those leagues. I'm not denying that. But it's not fulfilling that void, where I think the CFL can, because the CFL, no offense, is a step up from that league. And it's also just different. I would argue CFL is more like college ball, where college ball was super fast, super exciting, really high scoring, lots of turnovers. And that's what the CFL was more like. So maybe if you get it into more Americans' home, if you're bored on a random Saturday when there's no sports on and you have access to a football game in Canada, an American might just put it on just because it's on Amazon Prime. So I don't know if you're going to get more viewership, but I think you get different viewership, which equals to a bigger total necessarily, because there are still a lot of people who still watch conventional cable, right? Like, as much as people say that industry's dying, it's like, well, look at the big two and Rogers and Bell, and they're putting not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but millions into their TV plans. So if it wasn't making any money, they wouldn't be putting millions of dollars to switch this all to internet. That's a whole, again, we talked about betting could be a 2-hour show. I could have a 2-hour show all about the expansion of video content. Video content will never die, right? It's just going to keep expanding and changing. And I do like that the CFL, I think with this new commissioner, and actually surprisingly, considering he used to work for TSN, that he's looking to a place like Amazon Prime. Now, I bet what will happen is right now the TSN sends their feed to CBS. So TSN's making a little bit of money. CFL is making some money. And CBS is making some money. I'm picturing the same thing. I don't think Amazon Prime will do their own production. I think they're just going to take the TSN feed. But Lane, go ahead.
I have an interesting question. This is something I just thought about needing a minute to go get something. But I just thought of something that I thought Jacob would be interesting. How long before we see Amazon or Netflix do their own sports show? Like a highlights, like a, hey, well, we have the content, so let's do a 30 like a 30-minute show on what's going on in our sport that we have right. Like the
Well,
NFL.
Honestly, I'm shocked that's not a thing yet.
Oh,
We're
that's
only
good.
seeing it a little bit. Like when you watch the Amazon Prime Monday Night Hockey, they have a little intermission show, and it's pretty good. I gotta say, we got some. Oh, I can't say on the air, but anyway, they're doing a good job. They're doing a really good job. So I think we will see that.
I do
happening.
like how the one thing I like about Amazon Prime Hockey that I think is just bar none. I don't know how other channels have not done this. I like how instead of 30 minutes before the game and them going, well, I think the Leafs are going to win. Well, I think the Islanders are going to win. I like how they just play the sound of the arena. Just you just hear the people being like, "Let's go Leafs, Marner sucks. Let's go Leafs, Marner."
I like that too. It's different.
That's what makes it fun. I don't understand why some of these networks, just don't involve, especially something like Netflix, where you don't have to run commercials. You could just literally have the fans interact, show the fans, hear the noise. They do that in wrestling, and it's fantastic now. Every week I get to listen to, during when they have a break or something, you get to watch what the fans are doing, what they're doing in the arena when there's nothing going on. They're talking to fans and they're letting you hear the fans booing and cheering. It's so much interesting than watching. We'll be back 2 minutes. We'll be back minute 50 seconds. We'll be back. Come on. I want to turn off and I never want to come back half the time. I don't care if we're back in 30 seconds. I don't want to sit down.
Now, when you say about commercials, though, again, you do not want to take away a revenue stream.
No.
At the end of the day, these
But
people
they're not
who
even
are producing
commercials.
content, we need to get paid. And
I understand that, but they're not even commercials, Jacob. It's just, we'll be back in.
oh, no, I absolutely hate those.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I would rather just stay on a wide shot of the rink. Just at a locked-off camera with the ambient audio on. I do agree with you.
Show advertisers. Just throw them up. Just something. Anything.
Or you just do you guys know on CP24 they have their L graphic, right? Just have different sponsors in your L graphic, or some people call it a multi-zone, and you use that as an ad space for not during live gameplay. No. But during intermissions even. And during those TV timeouts, if you don't have the commercials, you can sell that ad space, right?
Sure.
Have a Domino's Pizza, Little Caesars, Streakers Gaming. See what I get there? I'm cute, I know. But I do think this is good for the Canadian Football League because it will create more revenue. Fans aren't going to like it. I'm just going to be honest with you. But they will pay for it anyways. At the end of the day, too, most people already have Amazon Prime because they want to ship their toilet paper because they don't want to go to Walmart. So at the end of the day, most people have Amazon Prime.
We should look. I wonder if you looked up how many people have Amazon Prime compared to cable. It would blow your. It wouldn't even be close.
Well, but again, that's not really comparable, Lane, because cable is just cable. There are people who have Amazon Prime who never use the video service.
Fair.
So it's not really. That's like saying let's compare how many people own a car versus how many people own a Maserati. That means the Maserati's crap. No, that's not.
No, but I'm just saying. But there's more. But there's a chance.
It's a new market to hit. I really do feel it's a new market to hit. Not new market like the city. I was born in Newmarket. In case you were wondering.
So it's Connor McDavid.
I am Connor McDavid.
That's why.
Oh wow!
If he ate too many big.
Can I have your autograph?
But.
Well, since we're all talking about CBS $1 million deal and Amazon possibly being $1 million deal, I have $1 million question.
Oh, God.
The CFL is bringing in more revenue.
$1 million.
Oh, come on. I thought you were going to take me off. But anyway.
I don't have $1 million.
It's the CFL is going to gain more revenue. And if this happens as early as 2026, gains revenue faster, will this come on my point where we'll finally get a 10th team?
Yes.
Because
remember I said steps have to happen before the 10th team?
You said the TV contracts first. I said the 10th team was first, but it looks like you're going to be right here, Jacob. If we get this TV contract by 26, will we see the Halifax Spooners by 27?
Maybe not 27, maybe by 2028, 2029.
Yeah. Wow.
For example, there's already been talks about this new stadium potentially being built in Windsor, where a racetrack has been abandoned. might be a 10, 12,000 fan stadium built there, which funny enough, we're seeing it in these high schools in the US putting 12,000 people stadiums and they're filling it. I actually think the Canadian Football League, you put a 12 to 15,000 fan stadium and fill it. That's more sustainable than back when the Argos played at Sky Dome and sold like 12,000 tickets, where it just looks terrible.
Why? Yeah.
That's one thing I've even said about the Toronto Argos. If maybe the fan base wouldn't look so small if it was in a smaller barn. Right, like put it in a barn that doesn't hold 30,000 people, like BMO does, because of with the upper deck or whatever it holds.
Yeah,
but it's something I just wanted to bring up. I know it wasn't on the script, but I thought it was interesting, and I am curious to see if this comes to fruition. I have been saying for a while there's a reason why TSN upgraded all their graphics now and their intros and added Luke complaining Wilson, that they are looking to make sure they don't lose the TV rights. Because I'm going to say this right now, if TSN lost the CFL, they would be in a lot of trouble. Because that's basically their entire summer content is the Canadian Football League. Like, Chazzy thinks they're in so much trouble, he just turned off his camera in disgust. So, like, I think this is good for the league, especially if it's still a partnership with TSN, or you know what, maybe they circle back to CBC. I still think the Canadian Football League should be on the CBC, a public access network, because it's Canadian. But I don't want to get into the CBC, especially with Mr. More for Your Money, because then this will be a 10-hour podcast.
Well, I was just going to say, go off topic, because you're talking about arenas. I don't know the facts, but kind of interesting. We're talking about multi-purpose arenas in Windsor, for example. In America, we're trying something new. So in a NASCAR circuit, right, you have a big racetrack, and then you have nothing in the middle. Right? You have your pits and people park for trailers and that kind of thing. But for the most part, it's empty real estate. But you still have all these seats around the track. So a NASCAR track in America, if we're trying out, is attesting to put a baseball diamond in the middle of the track.
I love that. It looks so nice.
I would love it too, especially if they had the baseball and the NASCAR going on at the exact same time. So when there's a home run, it just hits the car driving in a circle. All jokes aside, I think that's a great idea, because it's a way for shared revenue on the venue, right? Now the baseball team and whoever owns the NASCAR track or the racetrack or whatever, now they're spending the money together. The only concern would be seating for the baseball would be terrible.
It would be far away from the diamond.
So you almost need like a wider racetrack where you could put in almost like removable seating, where you could put the seating on the racetrack during game days.
The problem with NASCAR is way they turn for turning points in NASCAR, the raceway is very elevated, right? So it'd be very hard to put in seats, because like the steps would have to be so steep in order for people to climb up the elevation of the track. I don't know if you've seen people, for example, try to walk the elevation, but like it looks like you can do it. No, you can't. It's like impossible. So you would have to do that in the track straightaways versus in the corners. So that could be a little bit of a hiccup, but I guess the straightaway would be better for the baseball anyway. I'd be closer. I don't know.
All I know is I'm going to be watching that baseball game 100%. It's coming up very
short. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I think it definitely needs some work and some tweaking, but I think it's a very cool concept. And we talk about real estate, and
they even put the stadium in the game. If you have the new MLB The Show, they put the stadium in the game. You can actually play it.
That'd be cool.
Or this is where maybe we are starting to look more to what they do in Ottawa, where there's like it's a hockey, basketball, football, and soccer all in one venue.
Yeah, it's like crazy how they do it.
Bases.
So you have your football stadium and the outside, and then they built the hockey arena in the basement of the football stadium. So you actually go down into the hockey arena. It's where the Ottawa 67s play for your OHL fans. And then that hockey arena can turn into a basketball arena where the Ottawa, I forget what league it is. I think the same league where the Sudbury team is, but it's like a junior minor basketball league.
Canadian Elite Basketball League.
Pardon me?
The Canadian Elite Basketball League.
That's it. Yes. Now, is that like a minor league to the NBA, or is it like what is it?
Somewhat, but it is a professional. It is a professional league. It's actually very high quality basketball. I've watched some of it.
So kind of like the CFL, kind of like separate
No,
from.
but sure.
Probably.
No, but sure.
Well, separate from the NBA.
Yes.
Like the CFL separate of the NFL.
It's not like the G League, which would be like the AHL or the NBA.
That was my question. I thought it was more like the G League, so my apologies.
Lane looks disgusted with you for not knowing that. He's just like, what the hell? But
hey, that's what we all do on the island. We all learn.
I kid. But you know who doesn't kid? Mr. Chassie, who's back. He had to run to get some more milk because you could see he was overheating. But he's back. He's overheating. He's wearing a fleece sweater and a heat wave, man. That's what it is. But you're back, Chazzy, just in time to talk about tonight's game between the Ottawa Red Blacks and the Calgary Stampeders. And I want to ask you right off the hop, Vernon Adams Jr. will not play in this game due to an injury from last week. How concerned are you with PJ Walker getting the start?
If it was any other team other than the Red Blacks and the way that they've played in the last few weeks, very concerned, but we'll see. Expect a bounce back game this week, no matter who's behind in the helm there.
Now, remember for Ottawa, though, Drew Brown's back, and so is Addison. So you're bringing in one of your best receivers and your quarterback are both playing, and they're both healthy. They've both been full participants in practice all week, meaning they are like they're Gucci flip-flop. As Adam, friend of the program,
Gucci.
But
against that defense,
that's the thing, right? And I'm going to say this. There's been a lot of people saying that PJ Walker sucks, including Mr. More for Your Money. And I completely disagree with that because PJ Walker is an XFL pass leading quarterback.
I was just surprised.
I was in the NFL for a couple years. He has now had a week of practice with Team 1 reps. I think he's going to be better. I think he will be much better this game. And Dave Dickinson will have a much better game plan going into this game.
True.
Because he's going to be working at PJ Walker on the game plan all week. Because let's be honest, your game plan to PJ Walker versus Vernon Adams Jr. has got to change drastically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you thinking, Lane?
Yeah, it's tough. So he's not playing for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to think. I think Ottawa's got to win this game for sure. This is the one game, we talk about still being in it, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, I think you got to win this game. You can't. You're not going to get many opportunities where the starting quarterback, and we saw it last week with Calgary where they didn't look good without Vernon Adams Jr. Right?
No.
Let's call it frankly. This team didn't look the same, right? And Ottawa's a team this is a team that maybe if you could pick up some wins, it's like the Edmonton Elks. It's like you're still in it if you can pick up key wins, and this is the one game where you're going to have an advantage. You're going to have the better quarterback here, and you're probably going to have a better game plan and a better offense here. So you have to strike with the iron side. If you lose, I bet your season's over. So this kind of feels like a season on the line game, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I think for Ottawa, if you lose this game, and let's say hypothetically Toronto beats Winnipeg the next day,
you're done.
Ottawa's done. And then this brings me to a very interesting question. If you're the Ottawa Red Blacks, are you going to give some of your backup some reps to see what your future is?
You might have to.
Like, is Drew Brown the future who hasn't won a game as a starter yet this year? Your one win was
blows my mind.
Like, so are you going to look at Trey Adams, for example, and give him a look? He started one game for them 2 years ago, and he did win and showed a lot of good upside. Now, again, Ottawa will not give up on their season until they're really, really out of it. Like, Ottawa has a big game coming up in 2 weeks against Toronto, and that will kind of be potentially your season-defining game. But I think for Calgary here, I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure on Calgary because VA is listed as week to week. He was very close to playing this week. I don't think there's Dan. You go, yeah.
No. I don't mean like that. I think there is a little bit of pressure on Calgary because Saskatchewan 6-1, and Calgary just dropped a 5-2 to tie somebody. So, Montreal and and Hamilton.
But I
So
think
I want to be the top team. See, Hamilton's so forgettable. I forgot about them. See, you want to be the top team in the league, right? So I think it's a little better pressure to get to Saskatchewan's 6 wins. But
I don't think there is, though, because the Stamps still have another game against the Riders. They can easily make that back up. And they've already won the first game pretty easily against the Riders. So I think for Calgary, there's some pressure, obviously, because your goal is to go 1-0 every week. But I think we could all agree there is a mountain of pressure on Ottawa and there's a molehill of pressure on Calgary.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For sure.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
So let's get into our streaker props for this one. And I'll answer for Chazzy first and be like, I'm going to take the Stampeders. That's not how he talks at all. But I know Chazzy's going to take his Stampeders even without VA. But Mr. Lane Dashco, who are you taking in this one?
I'm going to take Ottawa. Like I said, I think they need to win. I think this is a must-win game for their season at this point in their season. I think you gotta find a way to win. They've had some close games against Hamilton. They're in the mix. They're just not picking up key wins and making mistakes. But I think this is the week they got to kind of try to figure it out here and snap out of this losing streak and take a win maybe you get a gift here. We'll see, though.
What do you think, Dan?
I agree with Mr. Dasko. I think the ever big stressor of this whole thing is that Toronto won the game against Winnipeg last week. And I think it's a good possibility Toronto could beat Winnipeg a second time. So if potentially Toronto goes 3-5 and Ottawa is still down there 1-6, and forget about a crossover prediction at that point too. I think it's I agree with Lane. I think this is a season decision game, and also it's like also I am shocked that Drew Brown has not won a game this season. You go back to last year in that Eastern Conference semifinal, and even though they lost, he flew for over 400 yards and played incredible. You go from that to this year, he did have a 400-yard game once this year, but he still didn't win the game. So I think if Drew Brown keeps falling apart like this, he might have to move on from him, which I would never predict this from the start. I actually, in our CFL preview show, predicted Ottawa to be good this year because of Drew Brown. Boy, was I wrong. But anyway, that's okay, though.
But I think the difference is for someone like Drew Brown, I think it might be more on the OC. And I think the OC is going to be even more on the hot seat when the Calgary Stampeders win on Thursday.
Whoa!
Because Calgary, you got to remember, they have the best running game in the CFL. And
I did not see you picking that. Wow.
They have the best defense in the CFL. And I have more faith in PJ Walker than you guys do. I actually think he's going to come in there. He's going to manage the game really well, mixing with really strong running play from Mr. Mills, who is arguably the best running back in the CFL. So Chazzy is busy at the moment doing whatever he needs to do with getting his milk. But I am fighting for his Calgary Stampeders, and I know that's who he'd take. So I'm going to even this up here and say Calgary wins this big game. Wow. Now let's move on to our custom props. And because maybe I'm being a little mean to the Ottawa Red Blacks, I am going to let a now Red Black fan in Lane take the first one.
I'm a Red Black fan.
He's a huge Red Black fan, man. He has autographed boxers of every Red Black in his room. I know he does. But Mr. Lane, do you think Brown can throw at least 325 yards? This Ottawa team is not a team that likes to run the ball, even though they have two good running backs. 325.
I'm going to say no, because I do think they're going to get the running game more involved. I think they might learn from their mistakes. They haven't really been running the ball, and they haven't been winning. So maybe this is the week they learn from their lesson and try to get the running game involved while still having some good passing plays. Even the long answer here, but you've seen the Ticats, so now their running game not fantastic, but they have been getting it more involved. And when they do, at least they do seem to do better. So I think their running game's got to get more involved here.
Well, when you have a running game, it opens up to play action, right? And Chazzy and I have seen this a lot in Calgary this year. And because I'll be honest, I became a bit of a Calgary fan watching more and more of their games this year, just how exciting they are. When you can open up the play action, it's huge. So Chazzy, I want to ask you this though, since you're the even though you're not wearing your cowboy hat right now, I know you're a secret agent cowboy, not a Dallas Cowboy fan, but
here we go.
Calgary Stampeders. And PJ Walker, I'm setting his at 185 yards passing. Do you think that's doable for him? He was a leading passer in the XFL not that long ago.
Yes. Let's not skip around the bush. Yes, he can 250.
Whoa!
Are you saying we need to change the prop?
We could increase it if you want.
We increase, let's go in the middle to 225.
225.
Wow.
I'm going to say yes.
Oh,
PJ Walker, 225. Mind you, Ottawa's secondary is not very good.
Wow.
Jacob, we got some. I hate to interrupt, but we do have some breaking news in baseball that just happened not too long ago. Eugenio Suarez from the Diamondbacks has been traded back to the Seattle Mariners. So there's one player off according to Jeff Passan. Yeah,
because Seattle's not having the best of the year, are they?
No, they're getting back prospect Tyler Locklear, along with right-handed pitcher prospect Hunter Crane and Juan Burgos.
So I wonder why Seattle did that, because I thought Seattle's having a struggling year.
They've been okay, but they just got a big power hitter, and that's one hitter that I would seen with the Jays. That's off the board. I just seen the notification, so I thought, wait, might as well announce it while we're recording the podcast here.
Yeah,
105 at night.
That's right.
Got some breaking news here.
Well, Seattle's got it better. We're second in division now, 57 and 52. So I guess we're in a buying position at the moment, and they brought back a former player. So good on them. They know it works in the system and likes the city. I mean, Seattle's a beautiful city. T-Mobile Arena is a beautiful stadium. So yeah.
Don't teams sleep like trade at 1 a.m? That seems kind of weird.
Well, don't forget, they're on the West Coast, right? So this is 10 at night, fair time.
True.
3 hours behind us.
Well, let's get back to the Canadian Football League here. And
thank you, Mr. Daskell.
This one now is for Mr. Morfor. With a quarterback who's never started in the Canadian Football League, the last time the Red Blacks did that was last time Calgary did that, was Mr. Bonner, who threw 7 interceptions in one game. Could Ottawa create at least 3 turnovers on a quarterback who is not used to the CFL field?
I'm going to say yes. I think Jamal Peters is in Hamilton now, so never mind. I thought there was a former Argo that was really good at interceptions that played in Ottawa.
Nope.
I can't think of it. Was it Jamal Peters?
No, he's in Hamilton, Dan.
Did he play Ottawa last year?
No.
So I don't know what player I'm thinking about, but I thought Ottawa had a former Argo in their defense. But
no idea who you're thinking of, bud.
But anyway, I think that Ottawa is going to get 3 interceptions. Yes, I think they're going to win. So they're going to win by the turnover battle.
I'm going to counter you and say, to avoid turnovers, Calgary is going to run the ball with Mills at the helm, and they're going to rush for at least 135 total rushing yards.
Oh, that's a big number.
Because Ottawa, again, their defense isn't great. You can get 6 yards to carry. You can just run the ball all damn game.
Wow.
Keeps Ottawa's offense off the field, which, as much as been underperforming this year, I still think is a good offense. And it gives you the ability to protect your young quarterback, at least young to the Canadian game. But now it's time for my favorite part of all these props.
Lane's got more breaking news. Sorry, Jacob.
Okay. What's up?
Oh, the Mets acquired Helsley in a trade.
Nice. Mets are going for a big playoff push.
For Jesse Baez, Nate Doam, and right-handed Frank Elisalt.
Nice. Wow. Cool.
Interesting.
Well, Mets are the big money we spent in the offseason. We're going for a big playoff push, so.
Indeed. But 44 points combined in this game. Yeah, are we taking yes or are we taking less? Chazzy, I'm going to start with you.
Less.
Saying less. Mr. Dashko, who are you saying?
Less.
More for.
Well, I hate to do this, but I'm going to say same as Chazzy and Lane. I'm going to say yes. I think it's going to be a heavy focus one game. I think the quarterbacks, Brown's been awful year. PJ Walker's new to CFL. I don't see, unlike Chazzy and Jacob, I don't see big 200, 300 yard games. So I'm going to say less.
I'm going to say yes, because remember, 44 combines only around 22 points each.
Yeah, I know.
And that's pretty low for the football league. So I'm going to say yes, because even if each teams are just hitting field goals, you should, like, look, Toronto hit 6 field goals last game and still put up over 30.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say yes to our 44 total or more for that. But now let's move on to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers versus the Toronto Argonauts. This is a very big game, I would say, for both of these teams. You have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers who have lost 3 straight, right? Which is absolutely huge for them because they have been playing some of the worst football I think they have played during this. I'm not going to call it dynasty run. I'm going to call it a dominance run because I don't think it's a dynasty when you've only won 2 out of 5. But at the end of the day, it's been dominant what they've been doing. You also have the Toronto Argonauts who are coming off their second win of the season. If they get this third win, they move into a tie for the last playoff spot, including the crossover situation from the West. So this is huge. And if they win the season series against the Blue Bombers, which could come down to for that crossover. But Toronto doesn't have their starting quarterback, as we all know. Neither does Winnipeg. Zach Collaros will not play in this game. And as much as Zach Collaros hasn't had a typical Zach Collaros season, he still has the ability to stretch the field and make big plays.
Still a great quarterback.
Strevler does not. And they haven't announced that Strevler will be starting, but I don't see them going to Troy Wilson. So I think this could help Toronto a lot because we've all talked about it. Toronto's defense cannot defend the long ball very well. We saw it a lot against Hamilton a couple weeks ago when Kenny Lawler just smoked this team. So how do we see Winnipeg responding?
I don't know, honestly. You're not getting Zach Collaros. You're going to be playing Chris Strevler again. The Argos, you're facing the same team back-to-back. It kind of reminds me of when Hamilton faced Ottawa. You kind of want that game back a bit, but also I just don't know what you're going to do because I feel like now the Argos, they got the momentum back here, and I feel like that some of the, like you said, some of those big injuries like Winton McManus, now he's back in the lineup. You're stuck with Nick Arbuckle, so you're probably not wondering who you're going to run in team reps. Probably get more reps. Maybe Chad Kelly was in there half and half, just in case. But I think now you're all focused in. You're all in on Arbuckle now. Maybe the Argos can finally get some momentum going. And I don't know. The Blue Bombers have just not been like you said, they just haven't been playing really good football the last 3 weeks. And I don't know how you're going to fix it with Zach Collaros. I'll be frankly honest.
Yeah, about Collaros, that's going to be very tough to do that. Now, mind you, I actually thought Strevler played better than Collaros did in that game. Mind you, it was when Toronto was playing deep and they were giving the short to medium plays up just because it took so much time off the clock. But the big thing, too, is can Winnipeg's defense find a way to slow down this Argonaut offense? You have Nick Arbuckle coming off his best game of the year. You finally saw a running game from Toronto. McConn's seems to be healthy again. LeBourne, I thought, played his best game as a Toronto Argonaut. So this could be tough. But at the same time, I do want to say something very important. I want everyone on the screen for this part. Hello, everyone. At the end of the day, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been to the Grey Cup 5 years in a row. That has to mean something to anyone. I don't care who's out of the lineup. It's hard to bet against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers just because they are a team that find ways to win. And either Dan or Chazzy, what do you guys think about maybe this being the first game of the year where Brady Oliveira just kind of takes over a game? Really? You seem hesitant.
I don't know. I can see Brady Oliveira taking over because the Argos are pretty weak this year into one game. I know McCann, you say, is healthy, but he did miss half of last game with looked like another ankle injury. I don't know. I could see Oliveira having a big game because Carrero's his LA lineup, but Toronto's defense is going to know that too, right? So, and you look at Christmas, for example. Christmas is really good on a defensive line, and I don't know. Toronto's got a very good defensive line, so it's going to be tough.
Honestly, though, I think this is a game that both of these teams are going to feel like they got to have it. I do think there's a little more pressure right now on Winnipeg, though, because you're coming into it's going to be another sellout. Mm-hmm. Your last game at home was absolutely terrible when they got blown out the doors off by the Calgary Stampeders. Yeah. So, and I want to ask Chazzy this: if Winnipeg loses this one, are you starting to worry for the Blue Bombers? They might not make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I'm going off of what you said at the beginning of the year, even going into this year, questioning this whole team and how they're putting it together. My question back to you guys though is: okay, you guys saw them last week; they beat the Bombers. In this league, how hard is it now for the Argos to go back into their stadium and get a W after just playing them last week?
Well, it is tough, right? Because Winnipeg will make adjustments. They're going to watch the film, and they're going to make adjustments. Toronto has to figure out how to make the right adjustments. You don't want to change a crap ton because I don't know why you're getting out the creepy binoculars.
I'm watching the film, Blow.
But you're looking at a team like Toronto, and they have to find a way to make the right adjustments without over-adjusting. So to answer your question, Craig, it is tough in this league to win. Now, we've already seen Calgary do it against Winnipeg, funny enough. Well, there was 1 week in between. But still, and you saw Hamilton do it against Ottawa. They made the right adjustments. But Toronto is going to have to do it without Sluka, who has been a huge part of this defense and special teams, been able to make some big plays and big moments. And he is out of this game. The guy that's created a turnover in 3 straight weeks. And not just a turnover, but turnovers in such big moments. You think about back in Montreal where he punched it out and saved Montreal from scoring a touchdown. Yeah, then Toronto turned it over 2 plays later. But still, you can't blame Luka for that one. Or you think of an Ottawa where he had the punch-out fumble for a touchdown and then the missed field goal return for a touchdown. This is a guy that's been making big plays. And again, against Winnipeg on the special teams, made a big tackle to make sure there was a fumble, right? So that's going to be a big loss for the Toronto Argonauts. And it is going to be interesting to see how someone else slides into his role because the kid's a game changer. He can play both sides of the ball. Not that we've been using him on both sides in Toronto, but he can. And that's going to be a game changer. But Winnipeg still had some key pieces too, like Zach Collaros and Dalton Schoen and Stanley Bryan on the offensive line, the real leader of that offensive line. I've always said to Winnipeg, I think they win and lose games at the line, no matter who else they have on this team. They're built on their offensive line and their defensive line. And without Stanley Bryan, you're really seeing this offensive line struggle.
It's kind of like a legendary lineman, and Michael Say coaches them.
Yes, that is very, 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 very true. But let's open back up our Streakers app yet again. And if that's how your cell phone opens, good Lord, you need
I was opening a book, but yeah.
There's no Streakers book. Chazzy hasn't written a book yet called From Hats to Clapbacks by Chazzy.
I know. I was making
but who's going to take this one? And Lane, I'm going to start with you because Dan and I are Argo fans. You probably already know who we're going to pick. But Lane, who are you taking in this one?
Well, I was right last week. I think I'm going to be right this week, and I'm going the Toronto Argonauts. I think the momentum. I think the Winnipeg. I don't think Winnipeg's going to win again. I just don't see with Chris Trevler that defense. At the end of the day, the Argos do have a good defense. I think. Oh, here we go.
For the first time in Streakers on podcast history, Lane Dashing Dashko has projected the Argos will win twice in a row, ladies and gentlemen. Two times. Congratulations, Mr. Lane Dashing Dashko, on making Streakers Island history.
There you go.
Help the trophy room. Streakers app does have a trophy room, by the way. You can see all your wins coming soon to an app near you.
That's right. All your digital rewards for fees. Yeah.
Mr. Chazzy, who are you taking in this one?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this one.
What?
I just feel that they could steal this one. This Argo team, a couple weeks ago? Yeah, they saw a game being stolen from them. What was it, against Hamilton when they lost?
Montreal.
Or Montreal. So I think Winnipeg will find the crowd's going to bring them through this one and steal one.
Mr. Morfor, who are you
Friday
saying?
night under the lights.
Well, that's the thing. You look at the crowds, for example, Winnipeg has only 139 seats available for this game. Every other ticket is sold. So it's going to be a pretty crazy, big, drastic difference against BMO Field of 12,000 fans. Not this thing, but I will say give props to many Argo fans are making the trip to Winnipeg. We actually had a group of them met as Jacob and I. Actually, we're making the trip. So there will be Argo fans in that stadium. So I will say the Argo fans, even though it's not many of them at BMO Field, we do have a big fan base that really supports the team. I know this is not exciting TV, but actually, before I make my pick, I give quick props to Chazzy because he did change his hat from backwards to forward. So I
didn't want to get fined.
That's right. He wants to keep his nickel. You cannot have your nickel back, Chad. No way, Chad Kruger. I'm keeping my nickel. Anyway, so now that I'm going to make
that's what gets by the more for.
Yeah, exactly.
There's security on the island here.
It's like, well, Shades is HR, right? So
exactly.
Talk to him. The little inside joke Auto Show boys back in the day. But anyway, I will make my boring pick, and I'm going to pick the Argos. And it is boring, but based on the hat, but it is accurate. The Argos need to get this win because if it's a crossover with the East and Western playoffs, unique rule only to the CFL, we're going to need to win the tiebreaker against Winnipeg. And Toronto really needs to win, go 3-5. And if Toronto goes 3-5, and if Chazzy and Jacob are correct, and Calgary beats Ottawa, then Ottawa is 1-6, and the Argos are 3-5. There's a big gap. We're starting to build a gap in the basement of the East. So I'm going to pick the Argos.
I do want to quickly comment that I don't feel it's as much of a must-win for Toronto as just make sure it's a must-not blowout. Because even if you lose this one, if you tie the season series but you won the point spread, you still get that if it's a tiebreaker for the crossover. I am still taking the Toronto Argonauts in this one. The Argos, have, for some reason, they seem to have the recipe to beat the Blue Bombers. Nick Arbuckle was won 4 straight against the Blue Bombers. The Toronto Argos haven't lost to the Blue Bombers since Cameron Dukes was our starting quarterback. In a game that we probably would have won, actually, if they didn't put in Scott Bryan in the fourth quarter. No disrespect to Scott Bryan. Met him a few times. Great individual.
You met Scott Bryan?
I did, and he's a great individual.
Where do you meet him?
At a bar, but let's move on. But
wow, that's cool.
I feel the Toronto Argonauts will get this one and put themselves in the driver's seat to try to fix this season. And all of a sudden, then you're 3-5, and you have a very good chance of making the playoffs again. But I do feel even if they lose this one, they just can't get smoked, which I don't see that happening as much because the Blue Bombers, gotta remember, they've been outscored by a spread of 55 points over their last 3 games. So that's the big question. But my next big question is the props. This is my favorite part, personally. I love putting these guys on the spot.
Me too, yeah.
So, Mr. Dashko, do you think the Argos can get at least 2 sacks on Strevler?
Yeah, because I think he's the most active quarterback, and I think that I just think the Argos are going to be gunning for the win. They're going to want to go back-to-back here, so I do think they can get 2 sacks on Chris Strevler.
I agree with you. Mr. Morfor.
Yes, sir.
I'm giving you a Blue Bomber prop because I feel like it.
Okay.
Will the Blue Bombers create a total of 175 yards rushing between Oliveira, Peterson, and Strevler? They're going to have to run the ball. Strevler's not really a pocket passer.
Oh, boy. Okay. That question's harder than I thought because I was going to say that Winnipeg's going to win the ball a lot because you're right. Strevler is more
hard line chassis, so it's got to be the hard questions.
Yeah. You guys, Winnipeg's more of a Strevler, so it's more of a running quarterback. I was going to say between 100 and 120 yards passing. Because Toronto's defense line is very good too, as I said, the addition of Christmas and different things like that. 175, that's a big number, bro. I'm going to say no. No. Too big of a number.
I'm allowed to tell Dan to hurry up because I live with the guy. So, Mr. Chazzy, since you're projecting the Blue Bombers will win this one, are they going to be able to put together at least 375 yards of total offense? They haven't been able to get over that number of late, but you could argue Strevler in his one start looked very sharp, and in the last game against Toronto looked a little better than Zach Collaros did. So do you think between the running and the passing that this team can maybe push up towards that 375?
I'm going to say yes, just because they're at home, and hopefully they come out with a little spark and get that in the first half, or at least 3/4 of it.
Put in perspective, they finished last game with around that like 345, 350 mark. So we're not that far off.
Yeah.
And Collaros did only go 5 of 10 and 2 interceptions when he was in under 100 yards.
Well, this is where my initial question came for, is like the defense going to tighten up in these sort of back-to-back games, or are we going to see more of an offensive output on both sides of the ball?
I think Toronto will continue to play strong defense. I actually think Winnipeg defense is going to be on the field a lot, which is why I'm picking Nick Arbuckle for over 275 yards. He's had over 300 last game. Got to remember, Arbuckle, as much as his season's been a little up and down, he is second in the CFL in passing yards this year. I think he's going to be able to put up at least 275 yards. He's not first. Bo Levi Mitchell is.
That's what I just said.
Very happy about that.
Yeah, baby.
But we are looking here, and I think Nick Arbuckle is going to be able to put up at least 275 with the running game pitching in around that 120 yards for Toronto. Therefore, 275 for Nick Arbuckle is my pick. Lock and load it. Bring it in. No F's in the chat, boys. That's what we're rocking with. But now, time for my favorite part of the show. Yes or less. I want to say Chazzy's been doing much better at this of late, so I'm very proud of you, Chazzy. 53 total points.
How much?
53.
Ooh,
50 cent plus 3. Not rounded up to 55. I'm not talking about currency. We're talking points. Chazzy, 53.
What was it, 31-17 last game?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go less.
Okay, less. Dashing Dashco.
I'm with the Chazzy 7.36 here. Last year. Maybe I'll get an update one of these days.
Oh.
Mr. Moore 4.
Wrestling channel deserves an update.
Mr. Moore 4. 53?
Yes, sir. I'm going to go with opposite, and I'm going to say more than 53 points.
Send me a rivalry. I'm going to go, yeah.
Will do. I'll send you a rivalry under our Streakers Islands channel, rivalry sports booth. So I will send that to you. I think that Nick, I'm going to say a weird prediction here. I think Nick Arbuckle is going to put up a lot of points on the board. And I think Strevler is going to put up a few points, but not as many. So I think it'll be over that. I think it's going to be a little lopsided with the Arbuckle.
I think it's going to be like 49-3.
What?
So what do you think? It's going to be like 49-3?
52-3.
One of my favorite.
No, I don't mean I crazy.
You know what?
But...
Since we're talking crazy scores, did you know 7 years ago yesterday, the Hamilton Tiger Cats lost to the Calgary Stampeders 60-1?
What?
Look it up.
Rouge?
Yeah, Hamilton got a rouge.
A rouge!
That was at the end of Calgary's 13-game winning streak with Bo Levi Mitchell as their starting QB.
In high school, we lost one time 70-3, and it was
Oh no!
Oh, that yeah.
Wow.
Now I'm going to say for yes or less. I'm going yes though. I think that 53 points is very attainable between these two offenses.
So we're both going yes. Interesting.
The Moore brothers are saying yes. The Streaking Dashcos Corp 2025 are saying no. Their website is a corporation. Now let's move on to the Hamilton Tiger Cats versus the Edmonton Elks. And I have some breaking news from this one, brought to you by the Hamilton Central Network. Brenda, the program, has a great show. Watch it after this one. And he is announcing that the Elks are giving Cody Fajardo his second straight start.
I'm not surprised.
So it will be Fajardo in this game. Enoch Muamba will not be happy because he said it should have been Trey Ford. So we do know now it's going to be Cody Fajardo. Cody Fajardo has actually had recent success against Hamilton back when he was in Montreal. He used to light that team up. However, I think Hamilton's defense is better than what it was a year ago, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So can Hamilton keep winning? They've won 5 straight. Edmonton has lost too many to count. Like, we talked about earlier, Lane, you said that you thought the Jays were going to lose to the Royals just because you could only win so much. Yeah. I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning.
Oh, my God.
I can't stop winning.
Jacob?
It's a weird meme on TikTok. But, Mr. Dashko, I know you're a Ticats fan, but could you see the Ticats maybe coming in a little sleepy to an out team that I think is a bit better than their record?
Yeah, it's similar thing, right? Like eventually, like I agree, it's just impossible to keep winning. Like maybe it's not, but I just don't see it. Not that I want the Ticats to lose. I didn't want the Jays to lose either, but it's this sports at the end of the day is all momentum, right? 5-game winning streak is impressive, and I do think Bo Levi Mitchell can play better, but they haven't been playing great. I could see the Elks getting fired up for this game, trying to save their season, just like how it's like kind of like Ottawa and Calgary. These teams, they have to win. They're going to be playing like as much, like almost like a Grey Cup game where maybe Hamilton's just playing like, well, we're kind of in the driver's seat right now. We're still going to play with intensity, but maybe not same intensity as the Elks are coming in, thinking our season's on the line if we lose. So I could definitely see it. I'm still hoping for a Ticats win, but I could definitely see that play out.
Now, what I'm really wondering to see is how does Edmonton handle Kenny Lawler? Because BC had the idea of just saying, screw it, we'll take Kenny Lawler out of the equation. And then Keon Smith put up well over 100 yards and dominated. Who then on national TV told everyone that he's the best Canadian receiver.
Yeah, I was going to say, Perry's the best Canadian receiver.
You know what, though? At first,
you're nobody.
Weird, but I think to be a receiver, you got to have that swag and confidence.
He backs it up. He's good.
But he won't this week.
Could see Edmonton taking more of the Ottawa approach, where in key situations you're double teaming Lawler, but you're just going to try to take away the deep ball in general because Bo Levi Mitchell loves that deep ball, and he's going to take a shot sometimes when it's not there. He hasn't done that too much this year. I mean, the one interception he threw last week, can't blame him on it. That was just the catch of the year. But
Soldier Boy, Telvin Boy.
I do think Hamilton will see a different defense from Edmonton than they saw from BC. I think it's going to be one that's, okay, you know what? 2nd and long, let's double team Kenny Lawler. 1st and 10, let's just take away the deep ball to try to get them into a short throw that puts them in 2nd and long. I think that's really the key, is to put Hamilton in 2nd and long situations and then take away their best receiver. Right? And I think we've seen it. If you try to take away him all game, Hamilton proved me wrong. And they did show they have other weapons like Smith and White. White had a huge game too. And Greg Bell played really well. So Bell had a pretty good game in being in part of the receiving corps at times. So I'm curious, though, do you guys agree with me? Do you think Edmonton's going to use a bit of a hybrid between sometimes double teaming Lawler and sometimes just single teaming him on 1st and 10 and kind of hoping for the best?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, this Edmonton's defense, they spent a lot of money on their defense. They loaded up a former Argo Grey Cup champs. They got to figure this out. So whatever works with Lawler, that's what they'll do. And if they probably done their homework and we've seen that Ottawa's done it and it works, why not them do it too? I think it makes sense.
I agree with you, Mr. Moorfor. And I do think we're going to see Cody Fajardo have another good start. He played really well last week against, I think as much as Hamilton's defense has gotten better, I wouldn't say it's as good as Saskatchewan's. I don't think they're going to be able to attack the quarterback the same way. Lane, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Ticats defensive line is quite as good as Saskatchewan's. So I think Fajardo might have a little more time.
It depends, right? Like, who knows? Like, it depends really on the offensive line. Like, we'll see, right? Like, I don't think they're going to be as great as sacking, but again, at the end of the day, if they don't get the protection, it still could be the end of. You still need the protection to do something. So we're going to see really how, if it's more the defensive line, the offensive line, on the battle here, but they definitely have to get a better job of protecting him because that was just so bad last week.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's move on to the Streakers app again, best app in the world. Better than any app you're thinking of. You're thinking of an app, delete it to put the Streakers app on it. And let's talk about this game. Who will win, Edmonton or Hamilton? And Lane, I want to start with you because I'm very curious if you're going to take what you said with the Jays and Orioles, or do you just love sushi too much and you think Hamilton's just going to keep eating it raw?
No, I'm going to go with what I have a feeling. I just think 5 games is a lot. I just think kind of the same feeling where it's like, you're in the driver's seat right now. You're probably feeling a little comfortable, maybe a little too comfortable. Maybe you're in one of those like nice lazy boy chairs. You're just like, I don't really want to get up and get that glass of water right now. Where the other team is like trying to find their course. They're still hunting and they're walking around lazy boy for the next 8 hours trying to find something. And I can see that being a situation in this game. I think Elks will win it. I think I could see Hamilton being a little bit like maybe a little too comfy. Got to break the streak. You're going to lose eventually.
I'm going to go with Lane on this one, and I'm also taking the Edmonton Elks. I think that they played, I thought they played pretty well against Saskatchewan. I thought they had a very good game. I think Hamilton and Saskatchewan are very comparable. As we talked about in my power rankings going in at the end of last week, I had Saskatchewan and Hamilton tied. So I do see Edmonton, though, finding a way to win this one, because as much as we keep saying, as Lane pointed out, well, Hamilton's got to lose at some point. Edmonton's got to win at some point, man. And I think Edmonton will get it done tonight. But Mr. Morfor, who are you taking?
Well, quick shout out to Bo Levi Mitchell before I make my decision here. He only has 3 interceptions all year, and he is a Corvette collector, which is very cool for us automotive enthusiasts out there. I didn't make my decision until I found out what quarterback was starting for Edmonton, because I think that's a play factor for this decision. But even though it's boring TV, I think that Edmonton's going to win. I'm surprised that the other guys picked Edmonton too, but I think Cody Fajardo looked really good his last game, and I think he's going to find a way to win. But I will say, Hamilton, as much as I hate to say as an Argo fan, Hamilton's a good team this year. I think it's going to be a close game.
Mr. Chazzy, I have my Streakers app ready to go in case, well, it was ready, my phone locked. But who are you taking in this one?
You might as well get a rivalry sent over, all three, because I'm going to take the Tiger Cats to continue to win. This is the only reason why is last game, I think they're going to correct themselves. They almost lost to the Lions. They're lucky to get that one, the last play or second last play of the game. Then you're into a short week in a rematch against the Lions, which have a bye. So they're going to be well rested. Hamilton, you're going to play on a short week on a Thursday. So now you come in Saturday. I think they'll take the Eskies. They'll take BC Lions. I think they'll be sleepy for the BC Lions. So it ends at 6. So I'm going to say Hamilton will get this one.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
I hope Chazzy's right.
I hope Chazzy's wrong. I don't like sushi. I actually don't like sushi, by the way. Just as a fun fact.
I saw some in the store and I was thinking about trying. I was like, ooh, it did sound good. It was like chicken.
You never had sushi.
It's gross.
It's a required taste.
It's a trap. Anyways, let's get to the props, which I may add to a prop. Will Lane try gas station sushi? Maybe that'll be a prop.
Gas station sushi. I don't know.
It was Metro.
But let's now get into these props. And I'm going to give the first one to Mr. Chazzy because he picked Hamilton. So I want to give it Hamilton one. Hamilton, 400 yards of offense.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Confident Chazzy. We're going to call him the CC, Confident Chazzy. Mr. Lane, since you are a Hamilton fan, I'm going to give you Hamilton one and be nice. Well, Kenny Lawler put up 125 in a TD, coming off his worst game as a Tie-Cat.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time to get back in the saddle here. I think that they're gonna learn that they just can't double team him the whole game because Fortunately, maybe the Tuckets actually came true last night. You got to watch out for their targets. They do. They've Augustine. They've got Smith here. They've got, Tim White here. You're not just going to be able to target. And I think that Kenny Lawler had a bad game, and he's going to bounce back here for sure. So, yeah, I'm going to say yeah.
That's when I take a pill of it and I bounce back.
So I'm going to take the next one, and I'll give Mr. Moore for the last prop. I think Edmonton's going to create at least one turnover. I think that Levi Mitchell may get frustrated if Edmonton takes an early lead, which I think will happen. And I could see him throwing up a prayer that's just not there. You say, Jesus, take the wheel. They don't say, Jesus, take the football. So I think that we're going to get a turnover here from the Edmonton Elks.
That's going to be on a T-shirt, too.
That would be a great T-shirt. Mr. Moore, maybe that can be a digital reward.
There we
but
go,
Mr. Moore, you're going to take Edmonton 80 yards rushing. They haven't got to run the ball to save their life this year, but they do have backs, 80 yards.
They have good backs in Winkin. He had a phenomenal year last year. Edmonton was terrible last year. And Leak, I thought last year we were going to see Leak have a sophomore year. Instead, we're seeing it this year in his third year. Yeah, great rookie year, Argov, and great sophomore year last year in Edmonton. Now we're seeing a sophomore slump in the third year, which is unusual. But I think we're going to bounce back. I think we're going to hit 80 pretty easily.
Okay, easy 80s. That's what they call the seniors' home that I'm going to put Dan in when he turns 80. Easy.
Well, hopefully I don't live to be that old.
Combined points, 55.
Ooh. I'm going to say yes. I think it's going to be a close, high-scoring game with really good offense. In Hamilton, with Bo Levi. Cody Fajardo has a big statement to make, and he's going to get a lot of artists. And, yeah, I think it's going to get done.
Lade. What is 55? Yeah, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes.
I'm going to say yes. Yes, more.
Yes. Mr. Moore, for me, is going to say no.
Ooh.
I think this game's going to be high 40s to low 50s. I don't think we're going to get to the mid 50s. Mr. Chazzy, 7.36. Working on getting cooled by eggnog just in time for the holiday seasons. What are you thinking?
Oh,
I'm
not
with
Christmas.
I'm with the top bench here. I'm going to go less. The top floor here.
Now let's move on to the Riders versus the Owls. And I'm curious what you guys think. But could be a real best. This could be a Grey Cup preview here.
Ooh.
Is this at Sean Lennon's first game back?
I'm not sure. I believe he could play as of now. Because, he was signed. He had a 2-game suspension. I think Montreal has played
at least two.
Yeah, so he could come back. I think they're going to give it another week, personally. Get him a little more practice. Make sure make sure there's no playing cards hiding in his bag. And right now, I don't think he'll be in this game, but he could be.
Does he have a pee in a cup?
No, he just won't answer a phone.
No, I don't think he won't answer the phone call.
It's been a weird year this year for suspensions. But do you guys think I'm crazy by saying this could be a Grey Cup preview?
No, I see your point.
Best team in the East versus best team in the West right now.
I actually hope it is because I don't want Winnipeg.
Well, Hamilton's best team in the East.
I want cheap Grey Cup tickets.
True.
I don't know if Montreal will be there, but
man, it's tough to bet against them though. Like they were really good last year, been really good this year. But what will MBT do? They had a good game last game, but that's last game. This is a new game.
Yeah.
Can MBT find a way to have success against this Rough Rider D line that literally just murders quarterbacks?
I don't think so.
MBT is not. Fajardo had troubles escaping, and Fajardo's got pretty good mobility. Like, it's going to be a tough game for MBT, actually. I think he might struggle this game.
So do I.
It's tough. You got the Rough Riders coming off a mediocre game. Like, I could see them sort of correcting their errors and putting up some points here.
Yeah, because Trevor Harris wasn't happy with the last one.
I don't think he's had a couple strong the last couple.
Yeah, but even though he's throwing over 70%, he wasn't happy with the execution.
Well, I don't think he's thrown for much yardage.
He was around like 260 last game, which isn't much for him.
No.
So let's get into these props here. Who are we taking? I'm going to start off, and I'm taking Montreal. As much as I think MBT may struggle, I think Montreal is going to go shot for shot defense, and I think they will find a way to win this one. So I'm going to take the Montreal Alouettes in a low-scoring affair. Mr. Moore-4.
Oh, boy.
Okay, fine. You don't know yet,
No.
Mr. Dashko.
Okay.
I'll just put I don't have a watermelon nearby, but I will wear one if they lose.
Watermelon.
That's what we do at wider days. We all wear watermelons.
That's awesome.
Oh, I really wish now Russell Wilson was on the rise. We go, Rider Nation, let's melon.
But yeah, no, I'm taking the Saskatchewan Roughriders in this game.
Mr. Moorford, have you had enough time to think?
No.
No, you haven't. Mr. Chazzy, who are you taking?
I'm with Dashing Rough Riders.
Watermelons versus horns.
Give me that watermelon.
Mr. Moorford.
See,
This
this
is a really tough game for me.
No,
I
it's
think
not.
It's 50. I think
It's
I think with Sean Lemon in the dressing room, it could add some drama. And I was going
You're
to
starting
say
it right now.
yeah, I was going to say Saskatchewan. I think Saskatchewan is kind of the easy pick because we are the best team in the league. Not a tie with Hamilton, as Jacob said. They are the clear number one best team in the league. But I'm going to take the underdog, and I'm going to say Montreal is going to fight through the drama and fight through the adversity of Alexander being injured. And I think Montreal is going to get it done.
So we're 2 for 2 here. Let's see which side's right. The Moore Brothers or chaz-co.org website corp.
.org. I see a .org in a while.
But let's now go to the custom props that we don't need to go to a .org to find. Mr. Watermelon Lane. Trevor Harris, 71% passing completion. Yes or no?
Yeah, I could see it.
That's a good pick. I wouldn't challenge you on that one. Mr. Chazinator. Will the Riders be able to create a pick six? Not just an interception, but an interception ran all the way back to the house, baby.
You know what? I'm going to say yes. I think they're going to be up for this game, like I said. I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say Montreal gets at least 143 yards rushing, and that might sound like a lot.
Wow.
Because that is a lot. But I think this is the game where their running game finally explodes.
So Mitchell, is he a runner?
Not at all.
Nope.
Which is why I think, though, they're going to have to run the ball to slow down that blitz. Last but certainly not least, the man who's not wearing fleece, Mr. Moore for your money. Will McLeod, Bethel, Thompson be able to throw at least 255 yards against this stellar defense?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
As he's sitting in his lawn chair.
Now, that's a rivalry that I would challenge you on, Mr. Moore, for, so you better watch out. You better not cry. I win a streak of point, and I know why, because you picked the wrong way on the prop. But now, combined points.
Feet up, Will.
That skin card.
So confident.
Combined points, 43. Yes or less.
43.
Two best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
A backup quarterback in.
Still, that seems low. I'm going to go way more.
So you're saying yes, from Lane.
Oh, I think it's going to be way more than that.
Yeah.
Chazzy?
More.
We're back to the chazzylane.org corporation.
I think you have to
go for the diagonal.
I am going to go off the board and say less.
Are you what?
Low scoring.
I know we've been filming. Jacob, how tired are you? I know we've been filming, but
look how weak I am, buddy. Dan, what are you thinking?
Get this kind of.
I'm not even crazy. Dan, what are you thinking?
Dan, go get your brother and put him in bed. I don't know what he's thinking. I can't believe.
Oh, he was up all night last night. Well, holy cow, he was up late.
I was researching this, rewatching some football games.
I know. That's how dedicated a CFL fan he is. He watches every minute and he watches it twice.
Dan. For the love of Pete. Yes or less.
I'm going to say yes. 43 is too low, I think.
You're fired. No,
so I'm a part of the .org now.
You are incorrect. You can never join their corporation. I do want to quickly talk a little bit of Leaf rumors. We're going to see some NFL training.
No, seriously, I saw the notes here. Are we really? You guys are really thinking that's going to happen?
No.
We're going to save the NFL. I had some NFL training camp stuff thing we're talking quickly as a reminder. The NFL preseason does start today for some strange reason. No idea why it's starting.
Hall of Fame
game, baby.
Hall of Fame game in the preseason. Absolutely no sense.
But he's got to wait.
But I want to ask you guys.
I'm all excited.
There was a bunch of ones in here, and I'm just going to pick one of them. Okay, wherever my mouse lands is where we go, and it is defense on the block.
Oh boy.
There's rumors that the Leafs are weighing trade options on Morgan Riley and Brandon Carlo. I don't know how this can happen, but do you see this happening?
I sure hope not.
They literally can't trade Morgan Riley.
Okay, but we also said the Rangers couldn't trade Jacob Trouba. They figured out how to do it.
I mean,
so
he's not leaving. He said he's not leaving.
Yeah, Matt Sundin said he wasn't going to leave. Then he went to Vancouver right after he wouldn't take a trade to Vancouver. So
his deal expired.
you know what? Unpopular
I think it all
opinion.
depends on which team.
I wouldn't be crushed to see Brandon Carlo out the door.
Me too. I love that guy.
No, I wouldn't be. I said would not.
Oh, I would be. I'm like crushing my head on his screen. I love that guy.
So that's terrifying. But I just don't feel he
him,
really.
Carlo?
Brandon Carlo didn't fit the way I was hoping he would.
Oh, come on.
No. Everyone says he's going to be better than Luke Shen. Luke Shen was better than Carlo in Toronto. He was. He was, Dan. There's no ifs or buts. Do I think these trades will actually happen? No, I don't. But, you know, in Leafland, they love the drama. They've also been trying to trade Yarncroke, but apparently no one's interested in him. Do you guys think it's because of the cap hit?
Get him? How did you get him? Trade, wasn't it?
We got Yarncroke as a free agent a couple years ago.
Yeah, we were done.
But they're looking to create cap room, but it's a $2.1 million cap hit. And with the injury problems he's had, do you guys see anyone really interested in Yarncroke?
Yeah, it's San Jose. San Jose should be jumping at that. Even a guy team like Chicago, they have so much cap space.
I could really see Chicago, actually. I think Yarncroke would be great for that dressing room.
They literally have to spend money in order to even play this year. Like they're literally not even at the cap floor right now. Like they have to spend money.
So could you see the Leafs trading Kempf and Yarncroke to bring in Tyler Bertuzzi back, who didn't really fit Chicago?
If you can get him 50% retained,
I would let Bertuzzi go.
Well, because he wanted $5 million, and Leafs didn't want to pay him that.
But now
he got 5.5 in Chicago.
Right, but if you can get that 50,
he's got $5 million in Leafland.
If you could, like maybe like a Yarncroke and a Camp, that kind of makes up the money to bring in a Bertuzzi. Even if you got a little bit like $1 million off the retained, he played well. Bertuzzi was one of those players that he started bad in Toronto, and it kind of looked like, why'd they get this guy? But in the second half, he went really off, and it was a decision between the hometown kid and Max Domi or Tyler Bertuzzi. And fortunately, they chose the hometown kid, Max Domi, because of the connection with his dad in Toronto and everything. They chose him over Bertuzzi, and I don't think that was a bad choice. Bertuzzi had a bad season, but he also plays on Chicago, playing on the Leafs. Matthews, could be a different story.
Because you look at it, if the Leafs brought in Tyler Bertuzzi, then you could go Domi, Matthews, Bertuzzi, Marcelli, Tavares, Nyes. Now all of a sudden your third line can be McMahon, Robertson, and Lawton.
Are you on Quack? Are you playing Nylander on the fourth line?
No, sorry, it would be Nylander with Tavares and Nyes, then Marcelli on the third line. Calm down. Marcelli on the third line with
Marner's on
and Waugh. Then you reunite that fourth line again minus Yarncroke, but then you put Dakota Joshua on the fourth line with oh my gosh, calm down, Dave. And you put Dakota Joshua on the fourth line with Lawton and Lorentz Dude, that's a big physical mean lineup that I think will be maybe they won't win the division, but will be much harder to play in the playoffs.
Don't even make the playoffs at that point.
Why? No, but seriously, why would that lineup not make the playoffs? You have
Matthews, white players.
Domi,
You got them all in one order, bro.
No.
Okay. Here's how it goes. Nylander's the top boy.
No.
They got with Mitts. Nylander's the top boy, playing with Matthews and Knives. Then you got Tavares, Bertuzzi.
Well, he's not even on the team, but
what?
So Bertuzzi's not on the team, but I understand.
Well, you're getting him. It's fine. So because the thing is, he didn't pick Domi over Bertuzzi. Domi took 3.5, which Bertuzzi won fantasy. Oh, come on now. Okay, no. So you can bring Bertuzzi back. Everything's fine and dandy. Because I love David Kemp, but with Dakota Joshua and Roy and Lawton, he's out of a job. And Youngquo, I never liked him from day one, so he's got it. Okay, so now you got. I hate him in Calgary, bro. So it's like he was useless in Calgary, and we bought him. He got his cute 20 goals, fine and dandy. Move on. Now you got the second line of JT of the Six, my boy, with Bertuzzi.
You're gonna have Bertuzzi on two lines.
No, bro. I don't have Bertuzzi on the top line. I have Matty Knives, who handed $7 million for whatever reason.
6.5.
Matty Knives with Matthews and Nylander. I got Bertuzzi, Tavares, and I'm going to say Domi. And then you have Marcel, Waugh, and Dakota Joshua. Then you got Lawton, Lawrence, and you got to put someone else there. What else do we have of it? Oh, Nick Robinson. Yeah. So useless, I can't even remember him.
Dan, your mistake is you're loading up one line and then having Tavares trying to drive a line by himself on the second, which does not work. He's too old to drive a line by himself. You put him with another stud.
He's younger than me.
He's too old to drive a line by himself. Too old to drive a second line by himself.
I'll just say something crazy here. Instead of getting Bertuzzi, why not give Seattle whatever they want and get Jordan Eberle
and reunite
Eberle with Tavares like the juniors?
Because Eberle is the captain of Seattle. That's a trade maybe you can make at the deadline, but you're not going to be able to make in the offseason.
Oh, come on.
Is Eberle a free agent at the end of the year?
I think he still would have one more year in his deal. He signed a 3-year deal originally. But I think Eberle is a guy you can maybe get at the trade deadline, which is why I still think the Leafs might be done until closer to the deadline. I've said it once, I'll say it again. So I think I'm going to give you guys some homework for next episode. I want all of you to come up with the Leafs forward lines for the next episode.
I just lined them off.
Well, I want you to actually think about it.
Sweet.
I actually want you to think about it since you literally have you wanted at one point to put Bertuzzi.
You already have Bertuzzi on the team.
Yeah, and I want you to do it with guys who are on the team.
Oh, okay.
So, but
bring a visual demonstration
quickly for other NHL moves because we got to wrap up the show here very soon, ladies and gentlemen. But Pospisil signs a 3-year deal at $2.5 million per year. Awesome move for the Calgary Flames. Yeah. Love it. So good. Made me feel better than when I have a fresh cup of coffee, when Chazzy wakes me up at 6:47 to tell me about some incredible thing that he's doing. And Dylan Sandberg avoids arbitration with a 3-year contract worth $5.75.
Holy!
I think that is very overpaid.
Wow. I would have arbitrated the crap out. That's way too much money.
Per year.
Holy.
Yeah, per year.
For a bottom 6 defenseman. That's insane.
That's too much.
Why would you do that?
Because he's no better than Simone Benoit.
He's no better than anybody. Like, I'm sorry, you're jammed up on cash space. You just lost Nikolai's ears and replaced him with nobody. Okay, it's cute that you brought in Jonathan Taves, haven't played in 3 years. And it's cute that you gave Pavardi $7 million for no reason. But why on earth do you give this guy 5? Are you on crack? You could have done so much for $5 million. And instead, you bring in a 7th defenseman? Our seventh defenseman, Philip Myers, is like, what, 1.3? That's what a seventh defenseman's worth.
Unpopular thought bubble. Marty Necas will be a Winnipeg Jet before the end of October.
Whoa!
Wow.
But on that bombshell, we need to wrap up the show. But before we go, Dan would like to talk about our four-legged friends.
Yeah, I've talked about dogs here before in the past, and I didn't have a mindset. I was thinking on the go, but it's Bear's birthday, so happy birthday, a Bear. And you can now challenge Bear on the Streakers app. So first animal on the Streakers app. So definitely challenge him to some iron rivalries there. But there's I saw on Instagram, I forget what shelter it was, but there was a sweet Rottweiler? Yeah, Rottweiler up for adoption. The poor dog has been in foster care for over 100 days. So there are tons of beautiful animals out there looking to be adopted. So, if you're looking for a Pacific breed, you never know what gets abandoned at the local animal shelter. So, always take a look, and a lot of times you can't find the breed you want at the local shelter. You can go outside of your local shelter too. You can go elsewhere. You can look up online nowadays. So it's tons of shelters out there, tons of animals that need home, and even if you got a certain breed in your head, there's a lot of beautiful dogs and mixed breeds, and we're get the best of both worlds. So just save our four-legged friends and give them a home.
You get the best of both worlds.
That's
They
right.
like dog kibble, and they love you a lot. You get the best of both worlds.
I gotta say one quick little thing too that I meant to say in the show and I forgot. For all your baseball fans, this was the longest we ever talked baseball on the Streakers Island. We talked about baseball for 52 minutes. So if you're a baseball fan, this is the episode for you.
For the first time ever, the Streakers Island podcast talked about baseball for over 50 minutes, baby. And on that bombshell, we need to skedaddle off the island. We need to find some watermelons, some water to drink, and a place to charge our Streaker Island devices. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the Streakers Island podcast. Heck of an episode. Make sure you stay tuning in with Lane has some exciting news to share with you on Friday about some not going to say the last letter, might be a website, might be about some Fight Club. We can't talk about Fight Club, but I'm talking about Fight Club. Thank you for watching. I'm the self-proclaimed sports analyst, joined by Lane Go, who looks cool as a cucumber, Mr. More for Your Money, who forgot to put his hat on straight.
Woo!
And
I'm being gangster, bro. I'm
Mr. Chazzy, who avoided the nickel fine. We'll see you guys for some pregame shows and postgame shows over the weekend.
Bye-bye.